got next.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of I Got Next Street Fighter Community Podcast, Season 3, Episode 2. Let's go, man. What's going on, y'all?
Yeah.
Yo, we are out here, man. You know what I'm saying? It's the host with the most, the wing commander himself, Shadow Ace on the ones and twos. And I'll be the moderator for the podcast this evening, joined by my co-host on production. Always making sure the vibes are smooth and the airways are clean. The mayor of Macon himself, Sir Retro, and of course, as tradition, I wanted to first thank Sir Retro for agreeing to host the discussion with me. The reason I've assembled you all here this evening is to get your views and opinions on the latest entry in the Street Fighter franchise. You know, Street Fighter 6. It's been out for about a good clean 2 months by now, and this is just a platform to discuss how you feel about the game, about the local scene, any changes in general, just the overall flow and nature of the game. How's it feeling? Everybody may hold their different views and opinions towards the game and the community in general. And this platform is just to express yourself in a constructive manner. I'll first start off by introducing the panel for this evening. I'll go first. I'm Shadow Ace. I am a player, commentator, podcaster, bracket runner, TO, a man of many hats here within the my local Georgia scene. Commentate with Untamed Gaming, Casa Bunch. I've done some work with Salt Mine League and various other organizations there. Just bringing you the smooth, my smooth voice on the airwaves, and just meditating and commentating on some Street Fighter, man. It's really a fun game. It's a lot to learn, and I'm looking forward to going through the struggle to eventually reach the promised land of winning a tournament. So for right now, I'm taking my licks and I'm just running with it. But I also got with me Sir Retro. Sir Retro, talk to the good people.
Hey, y'all. Good evening. Good evening. How's it going? For those who do not know, I am Sir Retro, and I am the other half of the I Got Next podcast series alongside with Shadow Ace. And for those who don't know specifically, I'm the head TO of the Middle Georgia FGC community, specifically with the Reboot Retrocade Gaming and tournament director of Swagged Out Nerds Esports. So basically, a lot of hats. And mainly, I play a lot of Street Fighter, and mainly I play a bunch of other fighting games. But of course, in general, I'm an overall fighting game enthusiast. I help train and teach newcomers and players in general the fundamentals of fighting games and the games and specifics. And of course, I compete every once in a while, and also try to like review matches and help discuss ideas of how to operate in fighting games and also operate within the community. Mainly, that's my main roles. But of course, definitely appreciate Shout is for giving me the opportunity to be involved with this series and for the fact that we have 3 years of 3 years. Oh my gosh, feel like that long. 3 seasons of I Got Next. I'm excited to have our awesome guests, and of course, be excited for Shadow Ace to introduce him to the world. Who do we have for tonight, my guy?
Oh man, I think he would need to introduce himself to the world. But today we got tonight's guest is none other than Blockbuster John, Ryu enthusiast himself. Blockbuster John, introduce yourself to the good people.
Hello, everybody. My name is BlockBusterJon. I'm from SoCal FGC. I'm a competitor, commentator, and TO for Untamed Gaming. I used to commentate a lot too back in the day. Yeah, I play Ryu in this game. Played Ryu in Street Fighter 5, Sagat, and then Street Fighter 4. I was an 8 on main. So yeah, if you guys do know me, you probably know me from Street Fighter 4. But yeah, I've just been playing Ryu in this game and really enjoying it.
No problem,
Obviously,
man. So definitely do appreciate you taking your time out of your day to join us for this episode. A lot to talk about. But before we get there, if you guys missed out on the previous episode, please check it out on Reboot Retrocade's gaming YouTube channel for that season 1 and season 2 playlist for the 4 episodes. There, I'll also have it pinned on my Twitter, well, X page now, for the link. So our first
oh
stop
my
is going to take
God, I
us.
forgot about that.
Yeah, yeah. Say you open up Twitter, you see just a black X, and you're like, what's going on? But our first stop is going to take us to SoCal. Like SoCal, no SoCal, right, John?
Yeah, SoCal. Wait,
Okay,
I want
yeah,
to say real quick, going back to X. I was looking to tweet, that I was going to be on the podcast when the stream went live, and I was
yeah.
looking through my apps. I'm like, "Where's Twitter?" And then I see the X, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, it's now X officially X. I mean, it's still Twitter.com, but when you bring it up, but it's still got that X on it that lets you know that the takeover has begun. But but yeah,
But yeah,
what I'm saying. Our
SoCal,
first stop,
SoCal.
SoCal. Yeah, so our first stop is taking us to SoCal to talk with the fellow commentator, content creator, and player with the Untamed Gaming organization. For about, I think I worked with you guys for about 3 years now, maybe longer, or it's about, I think about 3 years.
I think 3 years is right. I started commentating for them in 2019, at the end of
Okay.
2019. So yeah, 3 years is about right.
Yeah, because
Three.
I came in a little after you,
Yeah.
Paul. But yeah. So who is Blockbuster John, man? You know what I'm saying? We know he has you said he was a Ryu player. You play Sagat 8 on Ryu with Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5. You play Ryu and Sagat and Street Fighter 6. Now you're playing Ryu. I mean, 3 generations, B. So why did you stick with Ryu for so long?
Normally I'm just not a Ryu main. Like before I started, playing competitively, I really liked Akuma just because the Raging Demon was cool. And then when I started playing competitively Street Fighter 4 Vanilla, I tried Akuma, I didn't like him, and then I picked Sagat. So it just kind of branched from there because what I did was, and you know what, I should have brought this up as a topic. What I did was I played 4, I practiced 4 a lot, but what I did is I went back. So I went back to the games I loved growing as a child, like, oh, I learned how to fireball, but like, oh, now I know how to play these games. Like, let me go back and play. So I went back and played Street Fighter 2, all the ST, went back and played Third Strike. in the Alpha series, et cetera, just like so I got the bearings of how to play fighting games properly. So like now I want to go and see how these games are meant to be played at a competitive level. So Street Fighter 2, I was using Ryu in that game. Street Fighter 3, I was using Ken. The Alpha series, I was using Sakura. So it just the character just has to gel with me. I have to enjoy the character. So yeah, and if I don't enjoy the character, I'm not gonna play the character. Like that's it. Everyone was telling me, you should play Cammy, blah blah blah. I was like, I don't ever like the way Cammy played. Like so, I just stick to
Yeah.
what I like.
Yeah, and that's kind of a daunting task too, is just trying to select your main in a fighting game. Some people could just click with a character instantly. Others it may take some time for them to just get the feel of the character, and then over time they may like him or they may branch out to another one. But and especially the new game with like Street Fighter 6, where everybody's literally starting off from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause it's a brand new fighter, new engine, new mechanics and things to learn. And there's stuff even still to this day that's still being discovered with the
Yeah.
game. So, what I'm saying? I said for Street Fighter 6, I was going to try and play a character that was just out of my element and completely new. And that's like, I just landed on, I spun the wheel. It was either going to be between Manon, Marissa, or Lily. So I just ended up picking Lily because I just liked her her jump speed. And she kind of has a little gimmick thing going on with her. But over time, I realized that type of play style isn't going to work in the long run, and I had to clean up fundamentally and footsies and stuff. So it just probably a comfort thing over time that you get used to it. But let me ask you this, John. Then how do you feel about going into the game with Street Fighter 6 Ryu? I know it's completely different from the other versions, but how are you feeling him in this one?
Well, let me say this real quick, just kind of piggyback off what you were saying real quick. Like, if you're playing a character that you don't enjoy playing, it's like working at a job you hate. Like, why are you gonna do that? You know what I mean? So that's why I stick with Ryu, because I know the character, I know how he's supposed to be played, et cetera, et cetera. But Ryu going into this game from 5 is different. My main issue, and I had a ton of issues with 5. Like when the game first came out, I had like a whole 20 to like 25 thread tweet of like everything I think or I thought was wrong with Street Fighter 5 at the time at launch. Like they addressed some of the issues, but still not all of them. So my main issue with 5 was, and it still is to this day, is the priority system as well as having the crush counter system, because that was just like that's asking for volatility. And sure enough, that's what you got, especially like in season 2. You got a lot of volatility because of that system. So with this game, and they only kept one of those mechanics, punish counter, crush counter, same thing more or less. But they kept that, and I think they saw that the priority system with that mechanic is not a good thing. So
Mm,
I personally like that. I thought Ryu was going to do a lot better, and he is doing a lot better than he was towards the end of Street Fighter 5. Um, but yeah, I mean, like, everyone's saying, Ryu's low tier, play Ken, play Luke, but
mm-hmm.
those characters do different things. It's not the same. It's not like, let me just pick up Luke because he's the same as Ryu. Like, no, it's not how it works. Um, but yeah, I don't think any character in this game so far is bad. I think everybody can compete. You just don't have as easier tools as other characters do. You know what I mean? Or you don't have access to, utilizing mechanics better than other characters. But for in terms of this game, I think every character can compete.
Yeah, and then to segue off of what you said about Ryu not being Luke, you kind of hear that a lot before saying, well, why would you play Ryu when there's Luke? He's the better version of Ryu, or why would you play Ryu when there's Ken? You kind of hear those comparisons all the time because I guess the familiarity with the toolkit and what they want to do, they may have better maybe have better routes for damage, especially Luke. I mean, can you not say that's not true? Like especially for Luke, like Luke being the better version of Ryu.
I mean, if we're gonna say a better version of Ryu, I'm gonna say Ken, because Ken is a Shoto. He's got all the tools that Ryu has, and then they gave him some new ones. Luke is just who can I compare Luke to? Luke is probably, in my opinion, the better version of Guile, because he's got the fast fireball. and then he's got the anti-air. It's
Huh.
not necessarily charge, but Luke has those things that Guile has.
It makes sense because God taught him.
Mm,
Yeah,
okay, there
yeah,
you go. The lore.
yeah, because he was an Air Force was Guile, the military guy, and Guile was training him.
Yeah, so I would say Luke is the better version of Guile, especially if you are a person that doesn't like to play charge characters, but you want to play Guile, play Luke. That's what I would say. That's always been my view on the matter.
Makes sense now.
When they say Luke is the better Ryu, I'm like, in terms of motions, like yeah, maybe, but he's not like Ryu. Like if you want the better Ryu, that's Ken, which is why Daigo switched from Ryu to Ken.
Sagat, I've heard Sagat in the pipeline saying that there was a comparison between Luke and Sagat a little bit as far as the Tiger Shot game and Sandblast, comparing the projectiles and the speed, the DP, and he doesn't. I mean, it's not really a Tiger knee, but it doesn't like extend the heavy kick, like do like a hop knee.
Yeah, or the flip. He's got the flip. I mean, he's his own character, but he's got the fireball and the DP. I wouldn't say Sagat, because the thing is, when or if Sagat ever gets introduced in the game, we already know one thing's going to be for sure. He's going to be slow. He's going to be slow, and Luke is fast.
Definitely, especially with that dang on Sandblast. I mean, when played right, everyone has their own little take and spin on how to use and play the character. And again, people are still figuring stuff out. But let me ask you, how do you feel about the game now that we're 2 months in to the lifespan of Street Fighter 6?
I'm still enjoying it. I still like the game. I'm not using that because I watch a lot of Ryu content when I can. So like I'll tune into like Mature. I'll watch videos of like Paladin or like Just Fog or Jimmy MDZ Jimmy. I'll watch those guys. Air. I watch Air from Street Fighter 4. He's back playing this game as Ryu, and I'll say the one I really like watching right now personally is Air. Only because Air is trying to learn. I feel like amongst those other people I named, they have kind of like a defeatist mentality in certain matchups, and I'm like, yeah, like maybe this matchup is bad, but what Shadow is saying, like we're 2 months in, we're all still learning, but I think the game is fun. I enjoy it. Like I said, I think everybody can compete. The netcode, oh my god, like I joke and say that Capcom sold their soul to the devil for the netcode, because that thing is ridiculous. Even if we're region locked right now, I could probably go online and play you guys, and you guys will be on like console, or I'll be on console and PC, whatever. It's still fine. Like I've played some Wi-Fi matchups that are fine by accident, not because I'm seeking them, but the netcode's great. They gave you a lot of content. My only complaint right now is the input storing. So like for example, like if you do like I've had this happen a few times. I'll walk forward and then I'll go to down forward, and then I'll push punch thinking I'm going to get the fireball, but I'll get the DP sometimes because it's still storing that forward input. So it's that, and then I constantly get this error 502 thing that I just hope they fix, and it's a common issue. It's not just me. I know other people get it too.
Yeah, but it's that's more common on PC though, right? For PC players, like I've seen that a lot with.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I haven't seen it on console, so yeah, you might be right for that one. But yeah, but so far those are my two main issues: the input storing and that error code.
The input thing's kind of like, for me, it was kind of like turning me off on the game a little bit, because it just continuously happened in the heat of the moment. Like for matches, like I'll get like a drive impact and I want to do like down heavy punch, and with me playing Lily, she'll do the command normal where she just hops, and I lose out on potentially around closing damage like 60% just because of the input I did. So I'll do the DI, right? I'll do the DI trade, and then I'll just immediately do the down and heavy punch. But for some reason, it's registering as down forward. And even when I go to the inputs, I look at the inputs, and it doesn't show that I pressed it, but she'll still do the animation. And for her level 3. Like even where level 3, like I'll just probably do like a win stock. And I think what it is, if you backdash and then you try to do win stock, it's gonna register for some reason. It registering it as you doing a motion for super.
Yeah.
So it's gonna do the level 3. So that's kind of the thing I kind of was like hoping that they'll fix and address maybe after Evo. But yeah, that input issue definitely needs to be looked at for sure. But outside of that, I mean, like you said, they fix those things, and we could be in the ballpark, man. I
Definitely.
know. Yeah, we could be in the ballpark of it being a really strong game. But you know what's the most interesting thing about Street Fighter Six for me so far has been is seeing the week 1 and week 2 complaints about the game, right? So during the week 1 and like week 2, I was seeing some tweets saying that people were kind of like bored with Street Fighter Six already, and I was like, no, that's impossible. I mean, the game hasn't even been out that long. It's not even a month, and you started to see complaints about the game and how Drive Impact is scrubby and people rely on Drive Rush too much and stuff. And it kind of I was like, I knew that was going to happen. It comes with the territory. Especially with any new game, when people are just because they have to go out of that element, they have to reprogram their minds because they're going from one game to the next, and they still have the mentality of the previous game stuck in their mind. So it's like you're going to something new that you're not familiar with, and you're used to quote unquote winning a lot, and now you have to learn from scratch, and you have to take L's from uh, Ryu fan or Cammy Feet number 349 or something. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
It's a part of the journey, man. You gotta take those licks. You gotta
I mean,
take the licks. So
I,
when I see
I,
those types, I'm like, man, come on.
I will say this too. I think because V Trigger was so strong in Street Fighter Five, people kind of just accept it. Like it's a strong mechanic depending on your character. You know, G, Rog, Ibuki, etc. The list goes on of the strong V triggers in the game. People were just okay, fine. That's why we didn't hear a lot of complaints about V trigger towards the end. But now, we got these two new mechanics that I would argue are nowhere near as oppressive as V triggers were. And people were complaining about that. I remember people saying that the game is scrubby because there's no neutral, like blah blah blah. Well, there's neutral. I think the neutral in this game is quite honestly better than it was in 5, in my opinion, only because I laid out the crush counter mechanic and priority system being a volatile, system to have in tandem with each other.
Mhm.
And then there is what was I gonna say right now? Oh, the fact that the game is different. Like, so there's no gray damage in your life. You think about it like this: your mechanics, which I think is, I was saying this in the beta. I think they really thought through everything about what they did in the game in terms of your systems are tied to your mechanics, which is going to be your chip damage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that is a genius idea, and I think people need to get used to it. Like, you're gonna lose access to your mechanics, even though you get it all in the beginning. Oh, and then that one guy from DR, he was complaining that this was the first Street Fighter where your mechanics are, or your resources are there at the beginning of the game, and then he got shut up because everybody was showing him the Alpha 3 and how you get your resources right from jump. So yeah, just people aren't used to it, and they just need to figure out the approach on how to play the game a different way. You're not you're not trying to gain your resources from the start of the match. You're trying to figure out how to use your resources while at the same time depleting your opponents.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the topics that I wanted to discuss was going to be drive rush versus V trigger. The drive rush gauge, the V trigger gauge.
Hmm.
Which which one do you think is worse or better? So I'll start off with Sir Retro. I'll ask Sir Retro first, and then we'll come around and give our take on it. Retro, what do you think? How do you feel? Drive rush versus V trigger.
V trigger's worse. V. I mean, I because V Trigger was so ridiculous in many ways versus Drive Rush. Like at least with Drive Rush, I mean, you have better chance to stop. Like Drive Rush does a big dash that pretty much covers ground. Does some characters benefit from it more than others? Absolutely, but not all characters. I mean, like I said, the few like Jury, DJ, for example, they really strong with the drive rush. Then you have Anon, whose drive rush is not that great, or other characters don't have really good movement with the drive rush. But overall, it enhances many features for the characters, and it gives characters who have slow, bad movement some little enhancements, and it's really good. Whereas V Trigger, man, and then 'cause here's the thing: I played G in Street Fighter Five, so and like
Oh
block.
man, you're one of those.
There you go. Exactly. The thing I love G because I love the character himself. Like I love his style, and he felt fun to me. He was fun. Yeah, V Trigger was robbery. It was ridiculous because the concept about it was that and going in deep is that it was you're get rewarded for getting beat up, and then you can go all offense and all crazy with your V Trigger and literally come back and
Good
win.
point.
So the thing was, it benefited those who kind of, is basically more worth just to get beat up in that game than it was to try to. It was better to receive than to give until the very end, because basically it's like you taking all the what's happening to you, all the stuff, whatever not. You pop the V trigger, you pretty much give back out that energy, same energy. It was like it's like the third law of Newton. It was that action reaction concept. So as far as that goes, but the thing is, many characters had very very strong V trigger that it was really hard to escape from. You know, then you have Ed, for example, with the V trigger one, really slow moving fireball. It's oh my gosh, you can manipulate the opponent's space and so forth. As an example, it was scary, and you're in your trap. You have Monots, you had Guile, and you had so many other. It was an imbalance to me versus where Drive Rush everyone had access to it. Huh? Go ahead.
No, I'm listening. I'm listening.
Okay. Okay. I know your system, but yeah, no, like the idea of that, yeah, well, Drive Rush, like I said, everyone has it. It may benefit a few more than others, but it doesn't really. It is like there's where you can't stop it or anything like that type of stuff because you can counter it. You can basically like you can time it right. You can counter. You can it doesn't take up and thing is the person who uses it don't lose too much out of it by instead of getting hit and probably losing some health if they get counter hit on time. But outside of it, it's like really it's more beneficial than hurtful to me. Whereas V Trigger was felt more hurtful than beneficial for for everyone. So that's how I look. That's why I'd rather take Drive Rush over V Trigger. As much as I love the character that was robbery with V Trigger, I for the balance of things and for the people, I would rather go with Drive Rush. It's better.
So Drive Rush is better
Yes.
than okay, okay. And all right, John, how do you feel Drive Rush versus V Trigger?
Oh no, I agree 100% with Sir Retro. I will say though, to add to just the whole scope of the system, not even just drive rush, but drive cancel, drive impact, drive reversal. The only let's see, let's think about the V triggers, like what Sir Retro was saying about it's better to receive than give. Like Ed, he brought up Ed. I remember when I play Shadow Ace all the time, he would just sit there and block everything, and I'm like, why is he doing that? I was like, oh, so he could get his V trigger one. Yeah, yeah. and then you had people who, because remember the other way to gain V meter in that game was to get crush counters. So you had players like Nikali, characters like Yuri and characters like G, Rog, who were they were crush counter monsters. Like you're getting crush countered by them all the time, every time. So they could gain their meter faster than you, and you were getting beat up. And then there's the characters who had useless V triggers, Ryu being one of them. Like they just couldn't figure out what to give Ryu.
Mm.
They couldn't figure out how to give him a good V trigger. Who else had a pretty bad V trigger in that game?
Um,
Vega? Which one?
yeah. Wait,
You talking about the rose, the one-time use rose?
the one
Yeah.
V trigger one. Yeah.
No, and
V-trigger
that's the other thing too. There was some V triggers that were better than the others, and there
one?
was no reason to have a V trigger too. There's like no reason. Like
Yeah.
who,
Laura.
Laura, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I never, you know what? You bring that up. I don't even know what Laura's V trigger 2 is.
See? That's the
How
thing.
did,
That's how bad it was.
Dang. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what it is.
What? What? I think it's no. It doesn't spark into thunderclap. It's not her movement.
She gets a
Um.
grab. It's like a little dash grab. Or no, a dodge grab that she gets. So that's literally all it is, that you could combo from it when it hits.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
because at the
Yeah.
time with V Trigger twos, to some extent, kind of like was kind of extending like the combo ish system with the for the characters because
mhm.
it was kind of limited. But yeah.
And then you had the characters who had good uses for both V triggers. So you had, in my opinion, Ed had a good use for both V triggers.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rashid had good use for both
Yeah.
V triggers. Ken, towards the end, he had good ones as well. So, like what Sir Retro was saying, there was an imbalance with V trigger, but as opposed to like the drive system, like everybody has access to it, and he was Sir Retro. You were saying that Manon has a bad drive rush. Yeah, she has a bad drive rush, but you know what's good? Her drive cancel. Her
Mm-hmm.
drive cancel is good. So what some characters are lacking in terms of system mechanics in 6, they can actually make up for it with the other parts of the drive system that make it really good.
Mm.
Also, Manon has that one glitch where I think her drive impact comes out faster or something like that. Like it's hard to counter drive impact her.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I could be misremembering this. It could be the other way around, but
Okay. Yeah, you're not wrong because I think I remember hearing the thing about that. Um. Yeah.
yeah. And then to like I said, I think they did a really good job with it because to counter somebody's use of these resources, you got to attack them, and you have to make them block or use those resources with parry or drive reversal, whatever.
Right.
And the more you're offensive, or the more you're getting them to be more defensive, they're losing access to it. So you can whittle them down to 1 bar. They get a drive cancel. Well, you know what? That's 4 bars gone. Like they did a lot of thought into how to make this drive mechanic really balanced, I think. And as opposed to V trigger,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like they're just like, let's just let them go nuts. Let's give them a license to do whatever they want. Like in terms of, let's say, like Balrog or Rashid, like they have V trigger, okay, they can do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
And there was nothing you could do about it. Like if you didn't have meter yourself to counter their V trigger, or if you didn't have at least 1 bar to V reversal, and that's to say not everyone had a good V reversal.
Yeah.
You were kind of screwed. You had to hold it.
Yeah, that's not to mention reversal itself got nerfed at a point, I
Mm-hmm.
believe. So it wasn't really great to be going with. It's like,
Mm.
yeah,
And then V shift, everybody just figured out counters to that right away.
yep.
Yeah, so I felt like they were reacting as opposed to thinking like, what can we do to balance out V trigger. But yeah, overall, I do think V trigger was the worst mechanic in terms of like,
Mm.
they're it's just not a good mechanic in the grand scope of things. I think the drive system is a lot better.
Okay. Well, I'll play devil's advocate here, and that's the case, and I'll
I
say
knew it.
that Rush and V Trigger
Mm,
are kind of similar,
what
and
are,
I'm gonna tell you why.
go for it.
I'm tell you why, because both of you mentioned how certain characters, when using the resources, they can use them better than others,
Mhm.
and that applies in both games.
Mhm.
With Drive Rush, you're spending the meter to commit to getting in your offense and stuff, but you're depleting your resources while doing it. However, I won't say it's infinite, but because it restocks, you have to pace your offense too as well. So when you're fighting, whomever you're playing against, say you burn out all of your meter just to get like a good 40% at the start of the round to get the combo. Well, now you're close to burnout. And now if you're in burnout, we all know what happens there. It's a coin flip of where you can get your offense back, or you take a huge amount of damage just for being in burnout. So it's a 50-50 situation.
But
V trigger, V trigger, same scenario, same scenario. It's a 50-50 on how you deal with the V triggers. Are some V triggers better than others? Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. That is the case, and in turn, it does make the character a bit seem overpowered, but it's manageable to deal with, and you're only getting V trigger. Some characters are only getting V trigger once or twice within the round, and the fact that drive rush meter continuously refills, it's gonna keep coming back. You'll keep getting meter to do stuff, and you can keep going into more drive rush and committed to more offense. And if you put yourself in burnout, you back to square one. It's a 50-50 on if you can fight to maintain that space to get your meter back before avoiding getting wall splatted and getting stunned. So
it's important to note though that the way drive meter refills depends on what you're doing. So if you're being aggressive walking forward or holding down back, it'll refill faster or slower.
well, yeah. That's. I mean, that's part of it. That's part of establishing the offense. If some players they're fighting back while in burnout instead of just holding down back, because they know if they hold down back, they're in trouble. So all right, well, let me just commit and press forward and fight that way, or I could just take this block stun, get pushed to the corner, and then now I hit a wall splat, I eat a combo, and I at least get my meter back. And there's been instances where, like, if you do, you can purposely do drive impact, somebody could drive impact you back, but it'll put themselves in burnout. But you're willing to take that damage just to put
Oh,
your
I do that
opponent
all
off
the
the burn.
time. I do that all the time.
Yeah, so it's a part of the mind game with the meta. Same as far as V trigger, how you're purposely getting hit just to get V trigger, and you're sacrificing your health just to get meter. So it's kind of like in the same wheel. How I feel like drive rush and V trigger kind of like the same. I mean,
But I think they thought about it though, which is why they don't have chip damage on life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Jeff. Of course, no chip damage, but it chips away at your drive gauge, though. If it didn't, it'd be a different story if normals didn't do drive chip. Now, if normals didn't do drive chip, we'd have a whole different conversation about how busted drive rush is, But the fact that it is balanced out by it doing damage, I mean, quote unquote, chip damage to your drive gauge, is also, a pretty telling sign, because it's a lot to manage. It is definitely a lot to manage, especially how important that meter is. Whereas I feel like with V trigger, it's doable to win the match without even having to pop V trigger. You know. So the whole mechanic around drive rush seems to be the central core of the game, how they want you to play the game.
Right. And I'll give credit. I'll give credit to V Trigger because it led to a lot of, you know, one, the concept of new special moves for the characters. Like I said, for example, Guile maintained his V Trigger 1 in this form of a special move, special super move. So the thing is, like, the concept of still like having that type of aggression, overpowering thing, it still applies to some characters. I mean, and then with maybe a smaller limit. But for me, I think in my experience, I didn't like the V trigger when you're dealing with someone like against drive rush, or in sense of like being burnt out and so forth, and you're trapped against a character that's plus or whatever like that.
He's a G player too, by the way, everybody. I'm saying you're a G player too, and you're saying that.
I know, hypocrisy at finest. But yeah, there's cases like with even especially V trigger, pretty much with that activated, even the characters that have really good tools, like a really good DP or ways to get out or so forth, or defensive tactics, they were trapped. They were trap. There was no really actual way to kind of get out of it, and it feels similar to it with being in burnout and dealing with someone who has their sources or meter or whatever. But even in burnout, there are characters that still fight out and still escape and don't really suffer too much as a result. So I think it's the concept of suffering against the mechanics for me.
Mhm.
It felt worse to suffer against someone with V trigger than someone who has all the drive meter and you being burnout and you have to be in the corner. Because yeah, you didn't have drive reversal. I mean, you couldn't drive reversal, you couldn't parry, you couldn't do any of that type of stuff. And of course, is as a result you being depleted. But there felt like there was ways to still get out, even if there are times to be a +4 or whatever, depends on the move. It's like there's like still a sliver of hope, a more sliver of hope versus V trigger, where like you have Ed slow fireball, you have G's like canceling to all the special moves, you had Guile's mini boom, silent booms. Trying to think of characters that kind of monots her 6 orbs, that type of stuff. It's like, and even he tried to V reversal. Like yeah, even he has the tools to get out, try to get out with a DP, V reversal, V shift, whatever. The way it was designed and stuff, it's like nope, doesn't work against it. Nope, I'll keep it right there in the corner. Where burnout makes sense, where equipping and burnout makes sense, is like yeah, you're trapped because you lost all your tools and mechanics. But if you're a DP, there's maybe a chance because it's not like you're trapped there forever.
Or the super, like the
Right,
level 1 or level 2 super, if you can find the gap, or if you read
right.
the drive impact to wall splat.
Right. So that's what I think. Like being against feet against like, I'd rather suffer against someone's drive rush than someone's V trigger, in that sense. But I give credit to V trigger as far as it led to ideas of how aggression should go, and as far as what the moves it gave to some of the characters. Because like I said, Rashid, got his level super, level 2 super, which
Yeah, it's V
originally
trigger 1.
was basically Trigger 1, but before it got patched, it was it was like when I saw that, it felt like it was like V Trigger all over again, but way enhanced.
The but this, I'm still arguing against V trigger because,
Hmm.
or just the game at this point in general, because this game, most of your normals are negative. In
Right.
5, there was a lot of plus normals. There's a lot of setups to get your normal more plus than it was.
And 3 framers.
So
Hmm.
yeah, so there's oh yeah, and then the fastest normal in this game is 4 framers. So,
Yeah.
but there, like say who's a good example? Was it Nikali? His frame
Mm.
data changed once he popped V trigger, right?
Oh
Not,
gosh. Whew.
yeah, so it was holding the plus normals and then having to do that in V trigger. Also, like say I'm fighting against Rog in that game in 5,
Good lord.
and I block every mix up of his V triggers successfully, but you know what? I still took all that chip. I may
Hmm.
have had to use my resources just to get some breathing room, um, as opposed to like drive rush, or drive, the drive system in general. Maybe if somebody's given offense, maybe they do the wrong thing and I can
Hmm.
hit the drive impact, or maybe I get that perfect parry in the gap, something like that. Like, so to what you're saying, Retro, I think that yeah, they did learn from V Trigger.
Hmm.
Actually, I think they learned a lot
Yeah.
from the missteps of 5, or that people complained about, that they've kind of fixed in this game. But I mean, overall, still, I don't think Drive Rush is a comparable thing to V Trigger, only because,
Hmm.
like what you said, Sir Retro, everybody has access to it. Some characters are better. Shadow Ace, I do agree with that statement, but at the same time too, we're 2 months into the game, and we don't necessarily know how to counter everything yet, or haven't committed it to muscle memory.
Mm.
Mm. Okay, yeah, I think that's a big stepping stone too, as well,
Hmm.
especially for a game in this early in the stages. I think I was basing it off of what I was seeing. Like I was making comparison.
Hmm.
because have you ever heard, John? Have you heard the phrase DJ round or Marissa round?
Oh yeah,
where
yeah.
where just like completely overwhelmed on offense. They do a good combo string and that they take off 60 to 70% from the level three, getting ridiculous damage. They just drive rush towards you to the corner and just finish off the round like that. So when I saw things like that, that's made me think, well, damn, it felt like they just got V trigger at the start of the round and just went ham.
I,
And I compare it to like a lower round from Street Fighter Five, and I'm like,
Mm,
this kind of looks the same in a way.
mm.
So I think that's what I was kind of basing it on. Like you see those powerful, dominant rounds that can last only like 20 seconds,
Yeah.
just because they had the level three at the start of the round, and they had they got full drive meter, and all they needed was that one good conversion. And you just see them flashing yellow, and I'm like, all right, well, go ahead, take 60%, 60 to
yeah.
70% of my life real quick,
And
and that's
what?
like, dang, this is definitely giving me the vibes of how Street Fighter Five was when they popped the V trigger, and now they're the ones that are on the offense offset. So I think that's where I kind of based it
I
as
see.
it being kind of similar
Mm-hmm.
between
I
the two.
I
So
I do think you have to keep in mind though. You got to keep in mind what Sir Retro was saying is that everybody has access to these same mechanics. It wasn't the same in Street Fighter Five. Like nobody had. Well, I'm not gonna say nobody. A lot of characters had parries, but their V skills were something completely different, which made certain things to deal with either better or worse for them depending on who you played. Like, what was the V skill you would use with Ed Shadow Ace?
yeah, Snatcher.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that's not really gonna help you
Be
when
right back.
G's doing his V trigger you, but something like let's say who had a good like maybe Rashid's V skill was it good against G's V trigger when like he would throw the orb at you? Could he V skill that and hit you?
Trying to think.
So on
Well,
the roll,
Yeah, the roll.
when he does the roll,
Yeah.
no,
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 Oh,
that thing was big. Yeah, it was. The thing is,
yeah.
it was slow moving and it was really big, so it covered much ground.
okay. Well, then Sim's V skill was really good in that matchup because he could just float up there forever
Yeah,
and then teleport out of it.
yeah, because it didn't reach that
Yeah.
high. Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, like so. At least with six, they're kind of trying to give everybody an even playing field. I don't think everybody had the same playing field in five, and it was obvious too by
Mm.
like the character representations we saw, especially towards the end of the game.
Mm.
Excuse me.
Yeah, 'cause-
Like it was a lot of Luke, Dalsim, Poison.
yeah,
Ed was coming into his own towards the
yeah,
end.
yeah, yeah. It was a bunch of edits. Yeah, but I think like in the comparison to Street Fighter Six, like I said, Street Fighter Six. Well, you obviously can tell there are some characters. You can tell there's a tier structure, but ultimately, the characters don't feel completely useless, or they're not like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm not. No one wants to play me because I don't have X, Y, and Z like this character does. But I think, like I said, with the mechanics helps, and I think So and like I said, the driver situation, it I think they balance it because, like, for example, like I said, Lily, she may not have a big dash compared to DJ and Jury, but because she has long normals, it's not really well needed
And her
because
anti-air normal is really good. The
right,
Crouch
right,
Fierce is so good.
right. So I think in that sense, they
I'd,
did.
I'd say, sorry, I would say that's probably the best Crouching Fierce in the game.
Jeez, I got hit by that so many
When it
times.
works.
I mean, true,
I mean, to me, it feels like when you jump at Honda and he just does the Fierce. Like I put those two up there
I got hit by that too a lot too. Yeah.
because you don't see a lot of guys now in this game do a lot of Crouching Fierces.
No. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I feel like this big, it changes. I feel like the tier list changes every week. People are still trying to figure out what's what in the game. And, it rightfully so. Now you got Rashid out about to get released. 2 weeks before Evo, and there's not the controversy with that going
I
in with
haven't
that
seen a
character.
lot of Rashids though. Have you? Have you guys seen any?
We got Rashid.
You guys do?
I've seen some Rashids, man. I have seen my fair share of Rashids.
I don't want to
You
talk
talking
about it.
about in ranked or
Yeah,
just like
in
in
general,
general?
like coming across.
Yeah, man. A lot of people, a lot of players are using them right now. J-Tac, John Takeuchi, Oil King, Kazunoko, Pugera. I think I'm not sure if JB is using them. I know he's playing Jamie, but I'm not sure if
Yeah,
he's
because
Rashid
that
now.
that that was going to be my question. Do you think, like, do you fully commit to that character before like a major tournament, or do you stick to with what you know to give yourself a fighting chance, and then maybe you bring it out to throw somebody off?
I think.
Uh,
Mm,
I mean, if it was a first of three, then I could see, yeah, maybe a game. Then yeah, let's try out the Rashid. But this is John. You talk about. I mean, if we're going to segue into the evil discussion.
oh
I mean, I
boy.
guess we can go through it right now. Then, if Retro, you got that little panel.
Oh, I.
He's got the
Yeah,
picture
it's
up.
on the stream.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So if we want to talk about that, let's go. Let's get right into it. So first business with it being, Rashid being legal at Evo, and that is a good question, John. Do you want to bet your whole trip on a 2 out of 3 with you using one character? Say it doesn't work out. Say your opponent beats the Rashid,
Mm,
right? Then you have to go back to your what? Then you have one game to rely on
BRB.
your main, who you probably didn't really put as much practice into because you were training up the Rashid, trying to scum people out for wins. Well, not scum them out. I'm sorry, but you were, but you were playing to, try to do some damage. I do think there will be a lot of Rashids there, but as far as them placing high, I don't see it. I don't see it. I could
Yeah,
maybe see. I could maybe see a Rashid in like maybe top 96 or something, but that's about it. That's pretty much
it
the
would have to
nature of
be. It
it.
would have to be like a really notable player to get it that high within a week
Yeah,
too. You got to think they've only
yeah,
been out for, actually no, since Monday, right? They've only been out since Monday.
yeah. 2 weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's you're. I mean, it's a double-edged sword if you think about it. Like, yeah, the point you make is valid, and that's a very definite, real scenario that can happen. But at the same time, it works against the player too because they can just be playing this character that just came out, and maybe they didn't get enough matchup experience, or maybe they don't know everything yet. Um,
yeah. And they don't have a person to train against that uses a character at that particular level because you had day one master rank Rashids when the
mhm.
character just dropped. The people were
Well,
posting up, "Hey, I already got master rank with Rashid," and I'm
remember
like,
the ranking system is different this time around. We don't start from zero.
yeah.
You get your placement. So let's throw that one with a grain of salt.
I mean, the highest you can get is diamond from the ranking thing.
Yeah.
They put you a diamond one, but that's it. But But yeah, I mean that's like you said, it's a double-edged sword because it's what your opponent knows.
Mhm.
Does your opponent know how to fight Rashid at this particular level?
Or do
That could
they
throw
know
him
how to
off.
actually play Rashid against your play style, or are they
Mhm.
are they even a good player, and they maybe they've been scumming out easy wins online, but when they play somebody that knows how to adjust, and yeah, it's a big double-edged sword. I mean, I don't have a problem with it
Mhm.
being tournament legal. He was supposed to come out in June though, right?
Mm,
No. No. He had his correct release date. They already when they
Oh,
announced it.
I thought it was
Yeah.
June this whole time.
Mm-mm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. They did it for season 1 of Street Fighter 5. They let Balrog be legal. I think Balrog and Jury
At right
at
after
first.
CEO, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we didn't see a lot then. I know Eduardo was using him, but I don't
right,
know how
right.
well he placed that year. Yeah, I personally don't have a problem with it. Like I said, and I think I've said this on commentary too with you, Shadoways. I only had a problem if there was a game breaking issue, and there was a game breaking issue.
Woo.
Look, man, they should have look. Whomever discovered that, they should have kept that in the archive. I'd
Oh,
have
that's
been
never
like,
gonna
I would
Man,
have been
happen.
like,
that
hey,
Not
would
nowadays.
shh, don't tell nobody about this.
Bruh, that been chaos.
I mean, you saw what happened with the tech, the option select tech with all those buttons. Nobody could just keep their mouth shut about things. Like they just
Nobody, exactly. They were giving away. I mean, they just couldn't help but report stuff, and
they
that
want
makes me
the
think about.
likes and the retweets.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. I don't know. It's weird. I think I would have kept that in the archives.
I would
And
have
that
too.
making me think the future characters are going to have something. They may have something similar too, where they put the character out there in the field, and somebody might find something wild with them, and I guess somebody's going to post it on Twitter. Hey, look what Akuma could do. He could
Oh
he could chip
Lord.
you out.
That,
He could chip you out forever with this move, and something like that.
Oh,
So
JP had a glitch too that same week.
oh
Do
yeah,
you
the
guys remember
command
that?
grab. Yeah, you get
yeah, they
9,000
patched that up.
damage. Jesus.
Yeah, they had to patch that. So that makes me think. That makes me think there's more stuff out there. If somebody discovered the JP thing, somebody found out the Rashid stuff. I guarantee you, there's something else in the game right now that that may break the mold, but it hasn't been
Possibly.
reported yet. I think it is, but I think it has to be like super scenario specific for it to happen. But you see how
Yeah.
you see how sometimes how drive impacts clash, right? And
Yeah.
then nobody wins.
Right.
Yeah, Brian
In
F's
weird
video.
situations.
I see that.
What happened?
Brian F's video. He basically posted that he did drive impact and didn't come out, and he lost to the other person's drive impact. But what he found out was the cancel frames for the normal that he pushed are later than say a light punch where you can cancel right away.
Huh?
So
Yeah. It's different frames. Like if you do it and then do the cancel, then it depends on the timing. So a light one's gonna come out faster than if you did it from a medium or a heavy button. But yeah, that's just it. Just goes to show that there's still things that are undiscovered in the game as of yet, and you might even see some stuff in Evil that somebody be like, "Hey, I bet they don't know about this one," and they probably do something crazy with like Kimberly or Manon or something. So I'm really interested to see. I feel like that's going to be like a live field test data for for the true tier list to come out a bit later on, because I think that particular tournament, if you get top 6 at Evo, I mean, who could tell you otherwise about what the character can do? Because I'm looking at the brackets right now on the Evo start.gg thing, and I'm looking at the path how people have to go through 6 pools just to get to the top 6.
Jeez, man.
So there's gonna be a player. There's gonna be like what four players that have not lost a single match get to top 6.
That's scary.
100%.
That's crazy. That's really wild to think about. They have to go through 6 pools to get to the top 6. But it's so weird how. And also, this is the first year they're doing a top 6 formula.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't understand that one. So I make it. Maybe it's for a time. The same on time. But here's my question, John. I'm trying to figure out would 7 and 8 place, would they even get medals?
I think they said they said they would. I think they said they would. They just wouldn't be in the arena finals.
They
just can't. I think there'll be like 2 ceremonies. So like if they finish, tied for 7th, which is tied for 8th, they will get a medal, and then that'll be it for them.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I want to say like I'm 80% sure. I heard that they'll still get the top 8 medal.
Okay.
But yeah, John,
I don't like it. I don't like it because I mean they're probably trying to save on time.
Yeah.
But I mean 7,000 competitors. I mean I guess. But yeah, I don't like to me it's like if they change the NBA season from 82 games to 60. Like I just you're like messing with history, and like you can't really stack up a finals the same way anymore. You would have to look at the finals from, if you wanted to compare, from the top 6 on, and that's just it's weird to me. I don't like it.
Yeah, for all the official main games that get in only a top six. Yeah, that's kind of that just makes me think that this may be like a lot of ads and presentations and stuff to substitute for that.
Oh yeah,
It's,
good point. Good point.
Yeah, because the thing is, like each of it is like 3 hours too. But the thing is, like normally, like that's how long like almost the top eight will last, just around that time frame. So yeah, that's my best guess, especially for something like Marvel, which is pretty quick. And then like, but all the and then like I said, it's Marvel, it's Guilty Gear, Tekken, Guilty Gear, and Street Fighter Six for the top six finals. So of course those and of course those are main games out. So yeah, like I said, the speculation of that for like top six because like top six don't last that long. You know, at the most.
Especially Marvel.
Right, that's what I'm saying for especially Marvel. So I think, like you said, they have there's coming, but I think like example, yeah, with top, Street Fighter Six, you probably much going to get like the trailer for Aki or whatever, and maybe something else.
Oh, that's right. And then Tekken 8 stuff.
Tekken 8.
Oh, Mortal Kombat 11 too. It's Guilty Gear, Dragon Ball, Melty Blood, KOF, and Mortal Kombat 11.
hmm
They're also going to be there.
Yeah.
probably
So
did like the trailers after the grand finals as usual.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
here's the other. Is this the most they've had in the arena in terms of lineup, or has it always been 8 games? I don't remember.
at one point I think 9 many years ago. Well,
Okay.
yeah, because I remember there was a special one they had donation drive thing to get their game featured. That's when Smash made a return. And that was like the ninth game, but mainly it was eight, and otherwise. So yeah.
oh, okay. Now I'm starting to remember. Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah, Smash was the one that made the final cut that year.
And that's when Nintendo tried to do a cease and desist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, like as far as like with the for top six, it feels weird. It feels like out of like it's something's not right. It's like take a piece of the puzzle, and just one piece of the puzzle that's missing, and just throw it away. But
Yeah.
so yeah,
You know how fast the game is. It's gonna be over like that. It'll
yeah.
probably be over in like in 2 hours.
I
You
mean,
know, Be less than that.
true, true. I mean, granted, yeah. I mean, I understand that people from I know, like, of course, John. Obviously, you're in that area with the time zone wise. At the latest, it'll end at 1 o'clock in the morning over our end because
Oh man, really?
Yeah, because Street Fighter Six starts at 10 o'clock our time, so that's 7 o'clock y'all time. Yeah, because they got the schedule is based on the local time that you're like seeing it. So if you're like in Texas or whatever, you'll see it the hour or so behind, Eastern time, whatever. So yeah, they have it accordingly. But yeah, it's 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 7 and 10, um, for those games respectively. So yeah.
Yeah, so we'll be up extra late on our end
Mm-hmm.
watching it, and it'll
So
be like
maybe do you think it's to be more considerate to the East Coast? I mean, I don't. I mean,
Still,
why not just start earlier? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I thought it'd be like 10 o'clock, maybe, but I guess this depends, how they got it structured, the rental for the
yeah, the
arena.
arena. I mean, we were talking. It's that's been a thing that's been going on regarding Evo. Is nobody likes the arena finals.
Hmm.
Did you guys see that the tickets all sold out
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
and that like a lot of people said bots or scalpers got them?
and
Mm-mm.
then now they about to hustle and make it. Now they about to turn
Yo.
it and be like, hey, bro, I know you trying to get in the Marina Finals, yo. Let me know. I got you. I
Mm-mm.
got you. I got two
I,
tickets here for
I
300. Let me
I
know.
liked when it was in the ballroom. To be honest, like what they would do. Have you both ever been to Evo before?
2018 when they first had. I think that's when they first had the arena.
Oh, okay. So before that,
Mm-hmm.
no, I think 2016 was the arena because that was
Okay.
the
I'm,
year it
I'm
was on
sorry.
ESPN. That was
Yeah.
the year it was on
Yeah.
ESPN.
Yeah. Right. Thank you. Sorry.
But before what they would do is they would, the tournament would always be in the ballroom,
Mm-hmm.
and then the last day there would probably be maybe a handful of vendors still, up selling things, but the rest, everything would be torn down and be all seats. and
Right.
screens.
Mm-hmm.
So they would fit everybody in there, and you can watch the finals happen, and it was fun. You would the screams were a lot louder, like the atmosphere was a lot more entertaining because everybody that was there the weekend playing or just watching was
Mm-hmm.
there at the end of it. Now it's just like, well, you got to pay more money to watch the end of it, and it's just going to be in an arena setting, and it feels like I don't know, like I would rather just be at home watching it, you know what I mean?
Right. Now, granted, I actually went to the one in 2018. I actually did pay for the arena one, and I went
Mhm.
there because I just want to have the experience of being there. I think like
I've
65.
never I've never been to the arenas.
Yeah,
Since they started, I've never been.
it was huge. It was, I think, like $65 for the ticket at that time.
Not anymore. Yeah, I think it's double or maybe three times as much now.
I'm good.
Really?
Yeah,
Just for a ticket?
I think so. I think it was like 100 something.
Oh
Wow.
no! Wow.
Well, $100 for arena finals plus, and
Mm.
they all sold out, which makes sense. So,
And you're
and
gonna
you
want
said
to
that,
get a drink or some popcorn or whatever too, maybe some merchandise.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
So you're spending 100 or so.
yeah. I mean, I understand. I think the concept they really want to have that type of feeling, like they treat it like an actual sports ish,
Yeah,
and and because then, like I said, the Battle of the Bay and all that type of stuff, and big events, majors. Actually, like I said, when actually, for example, like the Junk Food Arcade tournament was at the was actually at the a warehouse, and that's like final round. Like it gives that little vibe of final round. If I was talking to Shadow Ace about it, and I was like, man, let's take y'all guys way back. So, of course, now like I said, they want to kind of for the concept of thing, they want to like go from just starting the garage, basements, warehouses with no air and all that type of stuff to, we can have this grand, exquisite, atmosphere. This you're like literally part of you like watching the Super Bowl, or
yeah.
they want to have that. They want to give them that type of feeling, and of course, it's Sony backing it, so
Yeah, I should say too, I'm not against it. I guess
Mhm.
my main issue is um scheduling. For so many games, for them to do top six,
Right, right, right,
why not start earlier to squeeze in those other two competitors so you can get a traditional finals,
right.
and then the monetary aspect of it, where you're kind of just taking money out of the players' pockets. Like at least it should be at the very least a discounted rate for the people who competed in a tournament. Like if you
Hmm.
if you signed up and you competed in a tournament, you get a discounted ticket.
Right.
Um, in a perfect world, I think if you competed, it should be free, and then they would get more competitors. But
Hmm.
there's still going to be an audience that's not going to compete, and they just want to go watch it, and they're still going to make their money that way. So I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like it could be fine tuned and tweaked to not be so harmful to everybody's bank accounts.
Yeah, that's their business practice that
Yeah.
they want to host it in the grand arena. They want to sell the tickets. They want to create scalpers. Then so be it. And some people they might just go just for, like you said, the casual atmosphere. Maybe people didn't compete, but they want to just go and watch the finals in the arena, and they bought their tickets for it. So they didn't compete at Evo. I mean, they didn't compete in the tournament, but they're just gonna watch, and those are the people that are getting the tickets. But I do agree with what you said about a discounted rate for competitors
Hmm.
to get in there to the finals. But at the same time, I'm not sure how the seating situation works out. Now they're saying they sold out of tickets. It
Mm.
depends on what's available in, if every, is every seat in filled up, or is it only a certain section they could allow for people to come in? That's the question I had.
I see what you're
'Cause-
saying. Like when you see videos of somebody like at a concert and it's like half the arena is full because they have the
Right.
stage right there.
Mm.
I think you went retro, but correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's like 360 screens, right? And they fill up every seat.
Yeah. So basically, oh yeah, yeah. Because by the time Street Fighter 5 finals happened, it was packed, and literally they had the big screen in the middle, hanging, like I say, you see a basketball game, whatever. You had that big screen on middle that shows all around. So even you couldn't see was like on the big screen near the competitor, so you could see the still match there, and of course loud enough to hear the commentators and everything whatnot as well.
Yeah. And to answer your question, Shadow Ace, I think, if you're a competitor and they give you a discounted rate, I think your ticket should automatically be general admission. And if you want to upgrade to like a floor seat, then that's when you pay full price. But I don't see it. I see it that as a win-win situation for everybody.
Right now, you got people that can't get into the finals. That their friend made the finals, they can't get in to see him. So
Exactly. Yeah.
that's kind of a bad situation.
I know
So
that's
they
the
have,
other way. That's the other way to make it for free. You got to do. You got to do good. You got to get top
yeah,
six.
That's true.
got to get top six. You can't get seventh or eighth. No, not this year.
Well,
No.
at least you get pay out for top
Yeah,
16.
yeah. That's why I think they're also getting medals too.
Yeah, they get medals. They get medals, but they're not going to be in the arena for the ceremony, though, right? They just get the medals, but
Oh, that's
they
a
get them
good
on screen.
point. Actually,
Yeah.
that is a
When they do
good point.
the ceremony, they only going to have the top six up there,
Will they though? Or
unless
do you
they'll be
think they'll
like.
have them? They do it all at once. Like, here's your thing. Come back tomorrow for the ceremony. Oh, I didn't
I
think
think
about
that would
that.
be a better thing than to just have them
It,
not here at
it's
all.
possible. It's possible.
Yeah, because I feel like that takes away from the experience of them getting that far in the tournament and can't be into the final.
Here's
They could
here's
at
what
least make the medal ceremony.
here's what they can do to show that, because if you're just like a casual person that didn't keep up, but you just want to go and see the finals and you see those two extra people, like, oh, I didn't see them play. So what they can do is they can do a recap leading into the main tournaments, like before it starts top six. They do a recap of how the people who got the final two spots got there, and then they show the two people that they beat, that they got seventh and eighth, and then that it won't be so weird and confusing to people who weren't following the tournaments. And then
That's
that's a
Right.
way to bring them
fair.
in, yeah, to do the medal ceremony too.
So because they ain't gonna know who they are, and they be like, "Bro, why
Yeah,
those two
exactly.
random people? Who those two random
Yeah,
people in the end, right there?" He's like, "Oh, it ain't in seventh place," and you be like, "Who? Seventh place? We didn't see that match.
yeah,
What's going
exactly.
on?"
I know, right?
Yeah,
Oh man,
yeah, but yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, you good. I was like, yeah, you didn't get top 6. It feels weird now saying it versus like you didn't get top 8. Cause like top 8 was like considered a thing, like you made it. You could like we solidify you as you like a solid player or not. Now it's like, dang, I got top. I got top 8. Okay.
Yeah.
Now here's the question. Now is that going to segue into what other majors might do? Because you know how people kind of base their rule set off of Evo. Now,
Well, this is
what
Pro
about the
Tour.
majors
This is a
take that
Pro Tour
philosophy?
circuit. This is a Pro Tour one. So is this going to be a CPT thing?
Like top six only? We only
Yeah.
streaming top six? Oh no! Oh no! I just thought about that because people are quick to throw out that evil rule book, evil rule set, evil this, evil that, and then they might look at it and be like, you know what I'm saying? This top six might actually save us some time, and we can actually get out of here on time if we do it this way. So that could potentially be the thing of the future. Maybe Evo was the test pilot ground for this format, and if that is the case, will other majors in the future adapt? Do that formula? Now they're doing top six. They only going to stream top six from
Or
here on.
they save money on trophies and medals too.
There you go. They save it. They get. They save a good $100 to $200 on medals, yeah. You know what I'm saying? There it is, yeah.
It's like a tax.
There it is. Hey, that might actually be a thing, man. But we'll see how it goes. I think with this being the first time they're doing it, a lot of people are kind of raising their eyebrow. And hey, why is it only top six? That doesn't make sense. But I think over time we'll see if another tournament is going to do the same thing. We're only going to do top six finals, and 7th and 8th place. I guess y'all might have to hold it. Yeah. Sorry.
Just going to be a handshake and a pat on the back.
There it is, man. You try. We don't get a... Nah, bro. That's top six only, homie. Dang, that sucks. But yeah, man. I mean, it's been top 8 forever, man, since I've been playing, and this is the first year they're doing top 6. So you talk about over 10 years of me playing and competing, and Now all of a sudden this new format comes out that says that we only doing top six.
Dang.
Damn,
Yeah, it
bro,
sucks.
that
Mm-mm.
does. Suck, man. But what do y'all think they're gonna do? Announce after the finals of Evo?
We already know who's coming out next.
Per-
Is it your character? Is it Ed?
I think that's
No,
kind of
no,
winter.
that's one.
Oh, so who's coming out in fall?
Aki.
It's gonna be their trailer, or maybe it might be both their trailers.
Yeah, that's true.
100%.
Aki at least, for sure.
I don't think we're getting any. Well, yeah, they already said it as much. They're keeping the game as is for a year,
Correct.
and then they're going to look and see if there are things that they need to adjust, which I like, which I really like. I feel like that's, and I said this earlier in the podcast. I feel like that's where one of the missteps of Street Fighter Five is they're patching things every character update, and it's like you don't need to do that. Just let it sit for a year. You don't got to change the meta right off the bat for people's characters, or you don't got to nerf this character.
Oh, uh,
Then the quality of life thing with the drive rush change.
I was just
That
talking
was
about
kind of
that today.
oh
I haven't got used to
yeah,
that yet. I still
yeah.
haven't even gotten used to that yet.
That's a big thing. That's
yeah.
actually a big thing. You changed that 2 weeks before Evo, and like, how are people gonna deal with that? Have you noticed any input errors or anything in regards to that change when you're trying to do your driver cancels?
Um,
I I haven't personally, but
mm,
I don't use it. It's not in my muscle memory yet. I will say though, Shadow Ace, we see people complain about the input storing. I didn't see anybody complaining about how to do the drive cancel, so those people must have been louder than the input storing people.
yeah. I
I, I,
yeah. I
why
heard.
why would that be a change? I wonder why that even got changed. Like, what was it because it was difficult to do the double forward? Was that it?
I think that was like the case, because
So,
go ahead.
uh, sorry. So Tokido was buffering lights,
Yeah.
so he would do forward light and then the other forward, and he get drive cancel. So I think it was a response to that for that technique being really strong
Mm,
and a way to I guess ease the barrier of use for it, the ceiling for it, because one of the byproducts of that this new quality of life change is you can't buffer lights anymore. You can't pre-buffer lights anymore. You have to do it on confirm.
Yeah, and that was really strong for Luke and Jury, for
mm,
them,
mm,
for their combos and stuff. So yeah, that was a big change. But it balanced it out though. But I'm like, I mean, you're changing an overall mechanic. It's not bad, but it's something that's to be noted of in the future, which means they could pretty much change anything else, further down the line with the character. And I'm thinking, since this came out with Rashid, maybe when when Aki comes out, maybe there'll be a change when she
Are,
drops too.
are you assuming that maybe the way the game was at its current state, Rashid couldn't do certain things, so they needed to do this?
Um, I don't think he was. I mean, I don't think they tested it fully because obviously they glitch. They let the glitch rock,
Oh,
and
I just mean from the drive system
yeah, yeah.
change.
For maybe it was a system. Maybe it was based around how Rashid's kit was working. Because if you also think about it too, like most of the characters, they have the forward command normals. You do forward and then the medium or whatever, and maybe they were getting that input when trying to do the cancel
You know
from
what?
another move.
Rashid does have the run.
mm. Oh snap! He does.
You know about that, Shadow Ace? I don't know if you've looked into.
Yo, John, you're
Why
right.
did he tell him that?
That was godlike. Yo, yes. Yeah, I think that
Please.
makes perfect sense. That's why the change had to come because of that. Because for the Rashid to do the run, you had to do you had to double tap and
Mhm.
hold forward.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. Uh,
yeah, that's okay.
that's,
Good shit, John. Yeah, that's
that's
it
good.
right there.
I was worried, kind of like thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
did
Shadow Ace, Rashid, good times.
No, I could see that then in testing, like they're just trying to do the drive thing or whatever, and they're getting run. That has to
Mhm.
be it.
That makes
That's
okay.
got to be. Yep. That makes perfect sense because they kept getting that and it just doesn't. It didn't want to work, so they changed it up. So I'm thinking if it's anything, so I think that's what will happen then. Like anything that could affect the character, whereas the inputs maybe overlapping or just doesn't work, they have to make an overall change to the entire game. Because what if? Let me see.
Well,
Let's see what.
here's my question: how is it going to work for like Ed and Falk? If is Falk coming in the game?
We
Oh
don't
no,
know.
no. She didn't. No, nothing about her.
Okay,
As of
but
yet.
so Ed then, because Ed is I don't think there's a button. I guess the closest thing is modern controls, right?
I want that would
There's
be
no
interesting.
character like Ed in the game right now, right? In
No.
terms of
No.
his kit.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
No. Mm.
So I mean, what it's a mystery on how they're going to develop his kit because yeah, he was him and Falk were the only unique input characters from five, and I'm thinking they'll just kind of like change his stuff to like have quarter circle back motions and stuff just
You
for
think
this, and
so?
then maybe yeah, maybe we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be
Because I
interesting because
see one thing I could potentially see a problem for Ed is it was forward fierce to do the fireball, right?
right.
Yeah,
So what if you like forward fierce,
Wait
or
for
what if
me.
you try to do drive reversal and you accidentally get the forward fierce?
Wait,
see,
for medium, I think.
forward medium, and that's
Oh,
the
okay. Ooh, yeah.
yeah. So if you do okay, yeah, I could kind of see the inputs overlapping. Because like if you do like a medium and then immediately do dash,
Or if you just don't
dash cancel
put
into
push the button in time.
yeah, and it just doesn't, and then another move comes out instead. So yeah, that's I could understand them having some input things that they have to work on. I'm pretty sure they know about the input storing issue
Hmm.
and they're looking into it. But I think at this stage of the game, because it's so close to evil, they may like, all right, if we make this change, it might break, it might literally break the entire game. So we need to actually figure this out before we release it. So and you also mentioned that they
Hmm.
wouldn't do a big balance patch until what after season one, like
Yeah, that's what they
the after
said.
Akuma.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what? I'm not against that. I think they should let some things rock because the thing is like I think a lot of times that things happen, especially with Street Fighter Five, things got nerfed almost unnecessarily because people maybe have complained a little early
Hmm.
on that oh this is too strong, this is crazy, doesn't make any sense. Like I think I'm not sure what happened with the DP situation, but that really was like a mistake that was kind of like, oh boy, that was, I think I'll call that for me at least the infamous season for DPS because when everything like that got nerfed to hell, I'd never seen anything like that before.
That's where
Mm.
that was one of my that's probably my second or third issue with the game because that was a big
Jeez.
imbalance right there because it's fully invincible, but you got to use your resources, and if they block that, you're crush counter state
Hmm.
and you lost your resources.
Yeah.
So it was always better to be the defender in that situation because you're just gonna block and you're gonna take the resources. And to add to that,
Hmm.
even if you did like a regular one, so if you think they're gonna throw you and you do like a light one,
Hmm.
you're still in the same situation. You didn't lose your resources, but you're still in crush counter state.
Yeah. I think for like as far as like the goes for the patching at certain times, like for I think they are very watchful of what to look for and what to patch. Like for example, with the bugs and stuff between like Rashid and JP at the time, they're like, oh no, we'll get rid of that right away. We investigate it, no, make sure that's taken care of. But for like, hey, nerf Jury because she is +4 on this move, and there's maybe no quote unquote no way to beat it. It's invincible, and then like everybody's like, you can just counter that. That type of like complaint, they're like, let's wait it out and see what people can investigate about it. And,
Well,
like,
s- s-
go ahead.
sorry. Finish your thought because I mine is fresh in my head. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, that type of stuff. They're like kind of saying, okay, you know what, let's kind of wait on that type of thing. Because, people will say, when Manon came out, like, nerf Manon, she's too strong. Her Vive medals are too strong. She gets easy medals, da da da. She wins the game, make it first to 3, that type of stuff. And it wasn't that they said, because they didn't say like, "Hey, we're going to investigate and make sure that this character is not getting easy wins or grabs, blah blah blah." It wasn't much about their response to that versus the response to the infinite bugs and everything. Because I think they're trying to pay more attention to how everyone else react to it versus just let's go ahead and patch this right away. Versus, in that sense.
So I was gonna say,
They're definitely looking into. I mean, they see feedback from the players. Like I think they're paying attention to what people are saying about the game,
Right.
and they're kind of taking that into consideration. So if you see a lot of complaints about the Manon 5 medals or DJ's, drive rush going full screen and stuff, they're looking into that. And if they do decide to change that within the next patch, I mean, that'll be based off of what people were saying.
Yeah.
If Manon gets 5 medals, guess what? Now we added 2 more, so she needs 7 now. She needs 7 medals now, and they tone down the damage of the throws. So like it's in the hands of the community. People look at the feedback and be like, hey, bro.
We really got to remember these things because I think it's easy to forget like how things get to like how they get. So when Sir Retro was talking about the DP thing, everybody forgot that the DP thing was as is in season 1 of Street Fighter V, except for medium punch DP. Medium punch DP was invincible, as well as EX. But you could still do the same thing to Fierce and Jab. Like you could still meaty them, and they'd still be in crush counter state. So literally, they just changed one thing, and they just made medium punch. I think it was strike invincible, or better anti-air, or something like that. So like, yeah. So it was, but the situation was the same. Like it was still the risk. You just didn't use the resources. So now what you guys are saying about Manon and the 5 medals and stuff like that, having played more and like understanding how that character works, I think she needs it. Because like what you were saying, Sir Retro, earlier when we were talking about the drive system, she doesn't really get good use of a drive rush, so she can't really just go in your face and
right.
Get a grab. Like when I've been playing her now or playing against her now, I've been making it real difficult for my opponent to just go in and get a grab.
Right.
So I think it's a situation of like it was like week 1, week 2, people were saying that. Like I think I haven't seen it since, and I've even seen like Idom saying that he doesn't think the character is as strong as we all thought.
Right. And I think that's something they're paying attention to, because there's a lot of people that would want something changed right away, or in a few weeks or a month or so, or like, hey, or at least even after Evo, they say, okay, it'll be a big patch after Evo. Watch, this gonna be nerfed. Guile's too good at this, or this character's weak at this. Kimberly's too weak. Like I think they're monitoring everything, and I think they're gonna like take notes. They're gonna take notes about it, because I want to say, like I think I said last episode, but now they have people who are players and competitors themselves that was in the competition that's involved with the development. So not like they're like just going right along with everything that everyone says. They're like let's see how this plays out type of thing, because they need to collect a lot of data to say, okay, as a result, this character gets this Manon gets 5 medals almost every time this happens, or like I said, this character has DP and it beats out everything every time this person says, or when this person uses something that's +4 on block, this always happens as a result. They're trying to get more consistent results. They're listening to the community, but at the same time, they want to get enough consistent results to kind of line up what they're saying. Because I can say, for me, don't nerf DJ at all. DJ is perfect. There's nothing wrong with DJ. DJ is good. He suffers from burnout. So don't even try to nerf him, Capcom. Please, hear me out. And then they'd be like, yeah, you know what? Sir Retro suffer. No, I seen DJ do drive rush and all that stuff. He suffers and burnout. He's fine. But Jerry, we're gonna nerf that character like maybe a few months after CEO. Whatever. No, they're like basically saying, okay, we hear you guys. We see how you feel about this character. We want to see if that data of the tournament results and whatever clips and stuff y'all guys show us that lines up with it and that evidence there. We're gonna investigate into it. We're gonna talk with our development team and see what we can do about it. We get some time to test it out here and there. Boom. Next patch, season patch. All right. Well, we're gonna Manon might make it 7 medals for her, or we keep the 5 and do something different. I think that's my theory and my idea of how they kind of like process it.
Well, I think that's the mistake they made with Ryu this season, because in the beta, his Crouching Fierce was better, and you can combo into it from drive rushes or drive cancels or whatever. So the main combo was like you get like a Far Fierce, then Stand Fierce, or no, yeah, Stand Fierce, drive rush, Crouch Fierce, Stand Strong, Crouch Strong, and then
Wow.
yeah. And now you can't do that anymore. If you want to do that combo, it's got to be Crouching Strong, and it's all Crouch Strongs. And then he did 7k damage.
Oh yeah.
He could deal 7k damage. Well, now he can't. The only way he could deal 7k damage is an extremely unique situation against Dawson. It's the only character he could do 7k damage to. And then you see like other characters, they're doing 7k damage in their sleep. So I think they realize like they made a mistake, and that's why everyone's saying Ryu's weak. I think if Ryu was kept the same, he would have been people wouldn't be saying he's weak. Basically, I still think we'd see Daigo playing him, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, and then who's another character I think is like the Jamie. I think Jamie too. I don't know what they did to Jamie from the beta to this, but
Kimberly, definitely.
I also think Jamie's good though. I think Jamie, you know who Jamie reminds me of? Jamie reminds me of season 1 Rashid. And I'll tell you why. Jamie, you remember season 1 Rashid? You couldn't punish any of his normals on block.
Yeah.
You could.
Okay, yeah.
So in this game, like say Jamie's low forward is -6. So I don't know if Sir Retro DJ's low medium kick is -6 as well. If I'm Ryu, I can get a low strong punish, a low medium punch punish. If this is on Jamie, I can only get a light kick punish because the pushback. Even though the move is -6, I could only get a light kick punish, even if I'm up in his face. So to me, I think Jamie is, I don't think Jamie's bad. And then to kind of like go back to what we're talking about with Manon and her 5 medals, why she gets to keep them, and Jamie players like, well, why can't we keep our drinks? Because the situations in which Jamie can get drinks is, there's a variety of ways that he can get a drink as opposed to Manon.
Right.
Yeah, so I think Jamie's good, especially when he uses, what do we call it, Shadow Ace, the level 2?
The A4?
Yeah, the A4. The artificial level 4.
Artificial level 4?
Yeah.
The A4, man. That's the classic. I mean, and I'm starting to see, Jamie's, well, at least the one we have that's frequent, the Untamed Gaming tournament, he goes by the name of Twinkie. He's starting to use that a bit more in this kit. Whereas versus a few weeks ago, I haven't really seen people use his level 2 like that. And now when I was talking to the Jamie, he said, well, I don't, it's not real, and you only get it for a few moments. It's not that great. But when you explore it and look at the versatility of it, it's really good in matches. And I'm starting to see more people doing it. And I'm like, okay, now they went to the lab. Now they realize what situations they can put their opponent in to utilize this tool. So I think it just takes some time to explore. You got to explore every avenue with the character before you can like make that judgment, right? If you see someone using, doing something that you haven't been doing, you're like, oh, okay, they can do this in this situation, or I can add this to my kit, and take it from there. And that's why it's always good to like research different players. And John, you were talking about earlier about the streams of the Ryu players that you're watching, but do you notice? I mean, that they each play differently. Like they're doing
Yeah, I watch each one for different reasons.
Yeah.
And I
Mm,
like to see what they're doing. I like to see their approaches. I mean, that's what I do because I'm not playing as much as I used to.
Mm.
Let me see.
mm,
I know I'm bringing up my Steam real quick. I know some people who got the amount of hours I have playing, they got that in the first week. So yeah, I only have 136 hours playing the game. So I got to supplement my lack of not playing as much with other avenues, and that is, watching content or watching streams and watching these players use the same characters that I use and see what they do differently or see what they have learned that I may not have had time to learn, and then implement it to what I'm doing. So yeah, that's like a great tool, and it's something that I think everybody should be doing. Is it's not just playing and doing the same thing over and over again. You got to watch other people too.
yeah, I think that's a big thing too. And then even if if you're not able to watch the streams, there's also the replays. The replay channel is huge. I used to study that a lot.
Hmm.
In Street Fighter Five, I would
It's
just
better
watch.
now. I don't have you noticed how good it is now? Like if you
Dude, I
lose to a
love it.
character, it shows you people who beat that character
Mm.
with your character.
So amazing.
Yeah, I do that. I look at all the players that come up under the Pacific search conditions, and I'm like, okay, let me see how they won this particular matchup. So if you're struggling in a matchup, you can search specifically about which character and which matchup you might be having trouble with, and see how people played that matchup, and then you'll learn something new about it.
There's also a
So
way to
Oh.
hide your replays. Did you guys know this?
What?
Yep. I don't know how to do it yet, but I try to look up someone on my friends list and see his recent matches. His match history is question marks.
oh yeah, yeah, you could do that. I seen that.
Yeah, I don't know
It's,
how to
I
do
think
it.
I think it's an accessibility options.
Mm.
Huh.
You could hide your name and rank and stuff and flag. Yeah,
Wow. This game is deeper than I thought. Damn.
yeah. They got a lot of stuff, man. It's a lot of stuff, especially the training mode. The training mode is ridiculous in this. It's
Oh,
so good.
I take. Oh man, I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really strong. But yeah, man.
Like,
Yeah, we'll touch bases on
mhm.
if anything, you guys got anything else before we move on to the next topic.
um, no, I think that's pretty much that was a good talk about the patch situation. Like, yeah, I'm good on my end.
I'm trying to think. The patches. Yeah,
Man,
I just will
I
say,
think it's gonna be
sh-
one.
sh-
Hmm.
Shadow Ace, and we've talked about it too on commentary. We just gotta let the game marinate, and you gotta let people figure out stuff. Because
Right.
like, if they were doing patches all the time, could you imagine like maybe nobody would have known about that JP thing because not they patched it out because they patched out other things about the character. So
Mm.
you just gotta let the community. There's only so much your QA and your testers can do at the company. Now you gotta let the community and the people playing the game figure some stuff out.
Right. Right. Right.
I mean, those are like a lot of those things are like specific character, specific situations. And if you think about it, since the JP embrace thing was kind of new, it wasn't. It took some time before people found out about that. So that's why I said that there has to be something else in the game that hasn't been discovered yet.
Hmm.
That's kind of like a bug. And the only other thing that I was thinking about was just like an issue with the drive impact. But we've already broke down about how that works, like as far as the frames and startup of using different normals from cancels.
Funny
So
enough, though, they didn't fix the Monon thing.
what the issue with the her driving pack?
Yeah, remember IDOM did a drive impact against he tweeted the video against another opponent at the same or after them, and they still clashed and they got pushed back to neutral. So
Uh,
that's one of the issues that she has with her drive impact.
She gets shared because hers has like really long startup, right? Like because she twirls and then she does the little uh the split thing. So isn't like because I know it's different. Like everybody's drive impact data is different, right?
Oh no, but the video he posted, he like did it way after the his opponent did, and they ended up still clashing at the same time.
Hmm.
So like if that was your guys' characters, that wouldn't happen. They would obviously win that battle.
That instance, but it clashed out with hers.
Yeah. So they haven't
Yeah,
fixed that, but they fixed Geef's burnout.
they did fix that. They for some reason that was a bug. You
Hmm.
know, I don't think that was an intentional thing for them. For Geef to have.
Hmm.
So I think that's why I said there's still some more stuff in the game, like right now, that's undiscovered, and somebody's gonna figure out some more things a bit later on and post up about it.
Hmm.
You know, and we'll see. We'll see what
Oh yeah.
happens down the line.
The game is almost 2 years old. Excuse me. I'm sorry, 2 months old. So, like I said, yeah. But in comparison to Street Fighter Five and other games, it's so much to discover and so much fun to discover it. It's so much in depth.
Yeah, I think it's really deep too. I think the depth in Street Fighter Five was kind of within the V trigger and what you can do with it.
Mm.
This game, it's more like let me figure out what I can do with you know this because I have drive mechanic now, and it changes how I have to play against X, Y, and Z.
Right. Cause
Um,
yeah, cause we
oh no,
had,
because I was gonna say because you can't like G like a G at base G, you can't do any of the cool shit that he could do when he was in V Trigger.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Technically
like
until
our
level 3.
oh
Person.
yeah, but then you get knocked down and you lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but I remember I think was it Smug the first person or maybe it was Nemo who would do
Nep- I think a
no
nephew.
jump back short V trigger. I thought that was really cool. Like when he first came out.
Oh.
Oh, the tech. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, the tech. Yeah, yeah, and then that kind of became the staple thing
yeah. So
that
that
he would
that's where
do.
the depth was to me in Street Fighter Five because I felt like the neutral was pretty straightforward, especially if you had a toxic character who had a good crush counter normal like Nikali or Urian. Like you're like I'm just gonna push this button and then
Mm-hmm.
hope for the best. Um, but yeah, I felt like the depth was really in um, the 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 V triggers was as in this game. Depth is really kind of just like everywhere. Like, what can I do when my opponent's in burnout? What can I do when I'm in burnout, et cetera, et cetera. So like it's fun, and I think things like this, when you have a lot of options, it makes
Yeah.
games more enjoyable to play.
I think part of it, like we were spoiled by Street Fighter Five. I know I was because I think a lot of the concept about what Street Fighter Five was, and then trying to apply it to Street Fighter Six. It's like, oh, I used to get away with this. I can get away with that. I can do this and that. It's like it's not that doesn't work like that anymore. And it really kind of like like I said, it's the robbery concept in many ways that we thought was Street Fighter Five. It doesn't apply how much of Street Fighter Six because you know
At least I was telling Shadow Ace this too. At least in this game, if I get robbed, I can recreate the situation. If I, get
mm-hmm.
V triggered by Balrog in 5, I'm not going to know how to do what they did. I'm pretty sure they're not going to be able to recreate what they did unless it was like a very specific thing.
Right. Yeah.
This depending on this just depending on the situation. Like as far as you're getting put in for offense and guessing, but yeah, that does make sense, man. But yeah, moving on to the next topic here. I've got a few more things before we wrap it up for this episode too. So
Uh huh.
I want to thank everybody who's joined us in so far for the season 3. We talked about a good bit today, but let's get into this next topic. Should you all right? Modern controls. We're gonna talk about modern controls because it has been some time. It's been 2 months, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people's opinions have changed now about using modern controls. Um, should you, as a player, learn modern controls? Why should you learn modern controls? And I'll go ahead and start us off, and then we'll segue around. So as far as how I feel about modern controls, I never looked down on them. I always thought, even before the game was announced, I was like, "Yo, watch! I think modern controls are actually going to be pretty strong in this game." You do lose certain normals and certain combos and stuff from it as a trade-off, but
Mm-hmm.
you still have access to all of the special moves. Like you can do the input normally and get the normal damage instead of the scale damage from the modern inputs. So if you take that into account, you can still do regular special moves, but you may have a move that's like really easy to do. So one of the a couple of characters that I already feel that's strong, of course, is obviously going to be Geef.
Mm,
Having access to a one button SPD, one button air SPD, get the lariat, and he has the running bear grab and stuff. So modern Geef is actually pretty strong. Luke,
mm.
um, I would say even Cammy. These characters can actually do some damage. And down here in our local, we had the modern JP player.
Yep. Two rush.
What's his name? Yeah, Two Rush.
Mm,
This man touches top 8 every tournament he's entered.
hmm
You
I
know,
I would throw
yeah,
Guile in there too.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense
modern
with
guy.
Guile. It makes sense with Guile. I can see that with Guile being modern. Yeah.
Modern guy. Does he get the one button flash kick?
Mm,
Yeah,
You still got to charge, right? I think you still got to charge.
I don't think so.
no. Do you get the 1-1 flash kick? I forgot. Actually, I could look it up. But no.
I think Boom too.
Now he doesn't get the perfect silent boom because that you still have to do the actual input. But that still that concept with the silent perfect with the fact that you still can keep the traditional inputs in addition to the modern. Yeah.
That's pretty strong. Yeah, and I think we'll start to see more modern players come up on the come up for sure in the future.
Mm.
It's just an accessibility option. People thought that modern controls are for beginners and
Modern
therefore
Ed.
yeah.
Say it right now,
That's gonna
Modern
be
Ed.
interesting. That's gonna be interesting to see.
I mean, I'm just saying, modern. I'm just saying it's gonna feel right at home.
Instead of pushing
Exactly.
2 buttons, you're going to push a
One
direction
button.
and a button now.
Yep. It's like basically
Yeah.
Smash Brothers character.
Hey man, look, we'll see. We'll see how much they change them. We'll see for sure. But how do you guys feel about the modern controls?
Mhm.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you're the guest. You go first.
Okay. I was gonna say my position is still the same. I don't want to learn them.
Mhm.
But I agree that that does make characters strong, even with the damage reduction like Geef. Especially too if you're in burnout and you're in the corner and you're worried about a wall splat, you don't got to worry about it anymore in modern. Um, but my whole issue was they Capcom intentionally created a rule set to nerf hitbox, and at the same time they allowed modern controls, which I think do the same thing that they were trying to nerf hitbox for. So for that, I've been against modern controls since that because I feel like it's Capcom being hypocritical.
Talking
I
about
understand.
the SOCD,
Yeah.
the back
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, because they're worried about perfect flash kicks and whatever. But it's like you're worried about perfect flash kicks. Well, now you gave Guile, modern Guile, a perfect flash kick every time. So I'm against them only because I feel like Capcom's being hypocritical on their rule set. Like they're allowing it in tournament, but at the same time, you went out of your way to alienate a certain sect of the community because of the controller that they used. But you also allowed modern, which I get. You want to retain your
Mm.
newcomers to, and you want to encourage them to play on the control scheme that's easier and it makes more sense.
Mm.
But it's the same as hitbox to me. It's the same as old hitbox, pre Street Fighter 6 hitbox. Like it just doesn't make sense. How you allow this but not that?
Mm.
But yeah, well, I wouldn't learn it. Just for that reason alone, on principle, like because of what I said, I feel like I got to just stick to it, even if it like they say, oh, it's like the only way to play now. It's like the best. I wouldn't do it.
Mm.
So if you was up against somebody in, you have you played against somebody using modern offline?
Yeah, I played against a modern Marissa, which was weird to me.
Hmm.
Oh wow, how did that work out?
Oh, I mean, I won.
But did it look like? Did it look like?
It didn't feel any different, to be honest. I don't think that's a good candidate for modern. I haven't come across any other modern player. Maybe he has a modern Chun. I'm not 100% sure, but that might have been online.
Mm.
Okay.
We had that one in tournament Shadow Ace. Remember, I think he played Jaco. He was using modern Geef.
Yeah, he was using modern against Jaco. Yeah, and Jaco had to go through the struggle.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, but I mean, it's starting to see a thing where it's starting to pop up now, and
Mm.
I'm not gonna sleep on modern controls. They're just as valuable. I feel like they're just as valuable now as
Yeah,
classic. It's just you know you.
yeah.
I'm not
I
gonna say
have.
it's a shortcut. But it is a shortcut. It's weird, John. I don't know
It's
how to describe it.
that's why I mean that goes to my whole point. Like, why would they go out of their way to alienate hitbox users and then allow modern controls, which do the same thing? Yeah,
Mm.
you get a damage reduction, but they're doing the same thing. So, like, what's stopping hitbox users, which I maintain they should do, from being modern control players? I think they should. They would be the best.
Mm.
Damn, modern controls on hitbox would go
Remember,
crazy.
Torpedo was doing it with Luke.
Yeah, and he was streaking. Yeah, he was streaking. I think Justin Wong was doing it too. And yeah, those given the ease of access and the instant reactions to things, and
Yeah.
I think that would be very very promising.
Yeah.
You get a fireball, one button fireball, get a DP, one button DP.
I
Damn.
also I also want to make it clear to the listeners, I am an arcade stick user. I don't use hitbox or controller. I use arcade stick. So,
Mm.
I may be arguing for hitbox players, but I'm definitely not one of them.
Mm.
He's like, I'm not. He's like, I got to put that disclaimer out there. I don't use hitbox, but I'm just saying. Dang, John, you don't destroy your legacy like that. You don't want them to think that.
Look,
Yeah.
somebody in the chat was like saying something, so I had to let it be known. I was like, I should let it be known that I'm not a hitbox
He's like,
user.
no, I'm not. Bro. I don't do
Yeah.
that. I use the classic. Well, retro, what you think?
I'm okay with it. Personally, no. Like I said, I may not use it because of my traditional sense of how to do motion controls the inputs. Um, like I said, I played against Two Rush actually, just to kind of test it out to play the difference between a classic JP versus a rushdown, I mean, a modern JP. Like I said, to the same case with BlockBusterJon, didn't virtually feel much of a difference because the concept still remained of how I had to beat the character and what the player was doing with the character. It felt was still the same. Like, okay, you still trying to zone me out. I mean, you can react faster in some cases because you have whatever, but that was a push for me to say, okay, now I have a character I can learn. I can bait you out. I can like get close to you and bait out the super reaction, or you know, I it did change the strategy a bit. Like, okay, he has level one ready on deck. Let me not try to do anything that makes him be able to rack that quick. But and otherwise, it didn't feel too much different. Whereas, like, he's trying to keep me in the corner. I can find ways to hop over that or so forth, you know, and time it and so forth and just like that. And I still, yeah, he beat me because he's really good. But at the same time, versus against a classic JP, it felt like I played big base JP. It was like the same thing. So it doesn't bother me in a sense. And I play against modern versions of the characters online in general. And same case, I managed to win a few. So I welcome it in the sense that I think, like I said, it goes to the developer's concept was to design a way for players who are trying to get into the game but didn't want to learn the complicated inputs and see what the character can do as a result, though, and overall, is that okay? You can combo with this special move using this combo system, whatever, or no, this is what happens when you can react with like this, or it basically give an idea of what the character can do. Versus, I saw more of what the developer purpose was, versus how easy it is for the player to do everything and beat everybody with it. Because, like I said, even if you have a hitbox and go modern, I still probably won't beat you, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me. No, and that's not like really a, being condescending towards them. It's like for me, I don't see it as a problem or an issue. I'm okay with modern. I will welcome it with open arms. I mean, with this DJ's arms, you get level 3 and get counter and I parry and stuff, you're gonna get hurt. But that's you can play how I understand. But then not only that, you have older players that, hey, my reaction's not that great, my execution's not that great as it used to be. Hey, this is cool. This is easy for me to deal with. And then of course, like I said, with the disadvantages of losing certain normals and the damage reduction, all that's fine. I mean, because actually, right now, um, there's a game that just came out recently via beta, and the big news about it. They got rid of the difference, so there's no difference between simple input and traditional, and that's on Grand Blue Rising. They got rid of that, and there's a big backlash as a result. People are
Mm.
pissed off about it. Yeah, because they're like, so because the thing is now you can turn off the traditional inputs, so it makes the traditional inputs irrelevant, and people are really mad, and they're like, why you got no, and yeah, because there's no cooldown differences, there's no damage reduction, and a lot of go ahead.
No, I'm saying that is a big difference if there's no penalty for using the controls. Then,
Right. So
yeah,
the thing about it, and the main thing I was comparing, because people were discussing about it in the comparison with Street Fighter Six. You got the modern with the reduction and all that type of stuff. If they decided to make it modern as the same as traditional inputs for any reason, then this makes it weird. It'll be weird, and it's like almost less. What is the point of doing so? Because people are complaining about the complexity. There are people who are complaining about the complexity of the inputs, and there are people complaining for it. So it's because the thing is, like, the concept of being rewarded, for doing the original inputs versus simple inputs, you know, you get the extra property damage, all that type of stuff. It feels great. Taking that away doesn't feel like it gives it any more purpose, and then you can turn it off completely too. So as far as like with modern controls, it doesn't really bother me in a sense because of those reductions and those like disadvantages as a result. But yeah, the thing is, in a sense, it has the fact that you can react quickly. The execution is easier and all the type of stuff. Perfect example though. And I've definitely put a match like Vitrix on Corey Bell against who was it? I think it was either Minardi, Luke. It was Luke against Zangief. Corey Bell played Zangief modern against Luke, and Justin Wong and someone else just talked about the difference and pros and cons of both control types, and it was really a perfect example because you can saw where at Corey Bell struggle against Luke, because Zangief, but the times to react to the SPD and everything like that. Oh, it was, yeah, and Corey was hitting the SPDs and stuff like that. It made it easier for him to deal with Luke versus if someone had to do the 360 against Luke and try to do those complex inputs with Zangief against a character like Luke that can zone you out and destroy you. And because if you miss input, you're in big trouble. And you whiff or whatever. Where Corey used the modern to make it easier for him to land those SVDs more consistently and so forth. And then you see that how the matchup felt like it was better for Zangief, even though it's still more maybe Luke's favor. That's a perfect example I would recommend for anyone to watch about how modern versus classic will look at a good level where people know how to utilize both ends of this control scheme. That's a perfect example. So that's why I saw it as a way for me to not worry about modern controls because of that concept and see how it worked.
yeah, I definitely feel that. Again, I say as modern controls as the game still develops over time, you'll start to see people explore characters in their modern versions. As of right now, you might see like, well, it's not everyone's cup of tea to use them,
Right.
but it is the option is there. So you don't. I mean, I've seen modern Kens, I've seen modern Ryus and stuff. So I think you're going to see more experimentation going forward. Where at first you're like, yeah, what's the point of playing the modern version of this character? They lose this, they did the damage reduction and stuff, but over time, when you break it down, it may actually be something there with the character due to the fact that you could still do the classic input on top of whichever special you have an easier time of doing. So That's just something down the pipeline. Again, game's only 2 months old. There's still stuff being figured out. We're not even 6 months in. But speaking of 6 months in, man, what do you think the Street Fighter Six will be like 6 months down the line after it releases? Like, do you think people, you think people will go back to Ultra Street Fighter Four, Street Fighter Five? Do you think it's just going to be more complaints or something else is going to change and somebody doesn't like it? What do you guys feel? How do you feel about the longevity of the game?
You go for it, John.
I think it's in a good spot right now. I mean, the fact that let me see, what am I trying to say? Because when 5 came out, they were still doing side tournaments for 4 over here at Wednesday Night Fights, and I would enter those. I haven't even played 4, and I signed up for it at Evo, so this will be the first time in 2 months that I've played 4 competitively. I don't. Well, I mean, Shadow Ace, we only know of one person that was still playing Street Fighter 5 when 6 came out.
He's still stuck over there.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's still stuck over there.
People have their preferences, but I've maintained that the current climate that we're in socially, parasocially, things like with how we digest information, it's kind of just like a microform now, like Twitter, TikTok, Reels and stuff like that. I feel like everyone's just gonna flock to the new thing and go with it for however long it's new, and then kind of stick with it. I don't think we're going to see a lot of going back, which is actually what I wanted to bring up when we were talking about people complaining. And I had mentioned this too when I first started playing fighting games competitively. I went back. I don't think someone starting in Street Fighter 6 is going to go back and play Street Fighter 5 or 4 or 3, etc., etc. I don't think they're going to do that. And the only reason I went back is because I was able to play in arcades, so I would see these other games when I'd have to wait my turn, and to pass the time while I was waiting my turn for vanilla, I'd play these other games. And now you're just in the comfort of your own home. You can do whatever you want if you're waiting, or you can always be playing. So I don't think we're going to see people go back to playing older games unless they're like a hardcore fan of that particular title. But I think because of that, it's going to make the longevity of Street Fighter 6 do really well.
So I feel like it's just got to keep, it's keeping up. It's you're trying to keep up with the game because, more people are playing this game, the more stuff they learn and figure out versus someone who doesn't play as much. They may have a hard time keeping up when they go back. But we'll see how it is 6 months down the road. But Retro, what you got?
Yeah, like I agree with John in the sense that, excuse me, where Street Fighter 6 is at, like I said, the way it started out is very strong in comparison. So I don't see it really going anywhere as far as people. Nah, I'm tired of this game. Whatnot. Let me go to something else. Another Street Fighter. People go to other games that is not of the Street Fighter franchise, but they won't go to now Street Fighter 4. I can see Street Fighter 5. That, I mean, like I said, the tournament CEO and what Jay Bailey said that BlockBusterJon brought up, that's pretty much told the story itself. And then there's at Evo, I'm not sure if there's a Street Fighter 5 tournament there. But there's Street Fighter 4, there's Street Fighter 3, there's Super Turbo.
You know what? Somebody is running 5. It's not an official Evo side game tournament, but somebody is running a Community 5 tournament.
God bless them.
Okay, so it is a Community 5 tournament then.
Yeah.
Well, God bless them then.
But Retro, you bring up a good point because I completely didn't even think. I listened to Shadow Ace's question, but I didn't even think about other games like Mortal Kombat 1 and Tekken 8 coming out.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot. It's a lot in the upcoming. There's the Grand Blue Rising, that's about to be a thing too as well. So then you got Project L, which is going to be huge.
Yeah.
So Man, it's a full plate, man. I wish I had the picture of the guy who who was eating like had like three plates, eating three plates at the same time.
Oh,
That's kind of how it is for the
Pro-
FGC content right now for the games.
Project L
Um,
is going to be really interesting because it's not just the fighting game community, it's going to be fans of League of Legends.
yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be that one. I mean, I don't think that's 6 months from now though. I think that's maybe like a year or two. But that one, that'll be the game to like really see what
push
people,
the envelope.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you know they're gonna throw money into that game too. Like we're seeing $1 million now,
Mm-hmm.
but with that game, it's probably gonna be $1 million 5 times through the course of the year.
Yeah, probably 10 million. Even.
Whoa. The 10 million for 13th place. That's what you're saying.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
And,
in League of
I mean, that's
Legends,
a lot. I mean, that's a lot of money.
it's.
That's for League of Legends.
and League of
They get
Legends is free to play, right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
You just basically pay for the yeah. So they already got their model established, and
Mm-hmm.
that game is gonna make a lot of money, and a lot of people are gonna play it for the money. Like we're
Oh,
the
yeah.
yeah.
But that also made me think about how, well, I don't know, it's probably two different worlds
Mm-hmm.
because I was thinking about DNF. Wasn't there like a big thing for DNF before it came out? Like a lot of people were
And they
Yeah.
super
stopped
excited.
support for it now, right?
It's what?
They stopped support for it now, right? Like it's done.
What did it?
No, the Spectre, the character just came out recently.
Oh, okay. Then I'm thinking of another game. Sorry.
Um,
Yeah, but yeah, it made me think of how DNF was, how like people were so extra hyped for it, and then like over time, the hype kind of just died down a little bit. Like I don't even see the chat talking about the game anymore, or like anybody asking for sets in it and stuff. So I'm like, damn, what the hell happened to the DNF scene? Like, what happened to that game? I never
that
played it, but
I've
just
never seen
wondering.
the die that. Well, I can't say die. Don't want to say die, but
I would
yeah,
say die because ain't nobody talking about it.
but
What happened? I'd have to actually ask, I guess a hardcore DNF player, somebody that played the game, like what happened to the scene or the community for it? Because
yeah,
it's kind of like, well, I know Project L definitely is not going to go that route, but I just
yeah.
made me think of a game that came out and then like maybe a few months down the road, the player base kind of just died off. So
Yeah.
You know
I
what?
just
I could think of a few examples. Killer Instinct. I think after the first year and a half, it wasn't as popular as it initially was.
Yeah.
mhm.
And I think it's a common thing with NRS games, right? Like they kind of just come and go quickly.
Okay. Yeah. That's. You know what?
I
Yep.
mean, to be honest, like I feel like their player base is more of a casual. Like I want to watch the story, and then I guess the gameplay comes second.
Which
Because
they
I
do
see
a
more,
good job
yeah, I see
of.
more,
Right.
huh?
Which I was saying they do a good job of that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I see more people hype about the story than I see them talk more about the story than about the gameplay. So they
Yeah.
just like as long as their favorite character's in and their character appears in the story, they're happy.
Well, they're putting all the characters in now. Did you guys saw the announcement?
Just came out today.
Well, I'm talking about the guest pack.
Oh yeah. 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 I definitely saw that. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, so
But
they trying to bring in the wild stuff, and they bringing in those characters. So it's like,
yeah.
yeah, it definitely feels like it's geared toward a more casual audience. I mean, of course, the competitor players are going to pick it up and play it, but I think their big fan base comes from just casually liking the story and the characters in general.
Like, I want to say almost that's almost ironic in the sense like oh yeah because they actually had a reveal today like actually a few hours ago but
Yeah, I forgot who it was. I just saw it.
Gearus.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, because the thing is, Georgia really actually had a big scene for Mortal Kombat. And of course, as man know, Yomi Gaming, where we
Yeah,
had a big sponsor. Yeah, but the fact that Mortal Kombat has a scene like as far at least in Georgia, and then we have actually a strong player that lives in Georgia, young Ninja Killer. But no, I get what you're saying though. What the overall audience that Mortal Kombat caters to, in comparison with like how Street Fighter is. The more competitive audience and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean that's just one of the perfect examples of how
Hmm.
the game, the gaming culture kind of like shifts a bit.
Right,
And like
right.
even for like if you look at how Tekken 8 is going about, it's kind of like I feel like for Tekken 8, it's kind of like a mixed reaction too as well. I've been seeing some up and downs about how people feel about that game too as well. So
Hmm.
I'm very curious to see how the whole meta is going to shift
Yeah.
6 months down the line for Street Fighter 6 because you have other games that are entering the market and being announced. So it's quite full, man. It's quite
Right,
full. So
but yeah, but right to your point though, what you're saying that you wish you had the meme about the fighting game players eating good right now. I think we're in that era, that era that it's a new era, a new generation, but it feels that it's where fighting goods feel like overall it's fun, it's great to invest into again. You know, and not saying that no that because not saying like all the other games in between like because like Street Fighter for example, especially like for example Street Fighter 4, that felt like before Street Fighter 4 came out, that era beforehand, that like everything was have Maya and Blaze Blue, yeah, good to little good to gear, you have a few games in between and so forth, and not people like making a big mainstream thing about those type of games. Street Fighter 4 comes out and boom, it's like, this is the game, everyone getting into it, this is it. It's that leading.
It coincided with, excuse me, it coincided with the internet too.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's the era too. Now in the new online internet era, that's like I said, coincided, and of course, like I said, Street Fighter felt like it's been that leader of how fighting games should be defined, more or less in the competitive sense. And like I said, Mortal Kombat inspired by it, Tekken more or less inspired by it, and all that type of stuff. And for like now with this new era of Street Fighter 6, how that's starting out strong, and the reviews of it, and like not because you have to of course we mainly focus on the community, the competitive side of the community, but there's also much larger audience about Street Fighter, because you have the Street Fighter 6, you saw it sold 2 million. One First of all, it sold 2 million. It got 9.5, 9 out of 10, not 10 out of 10 reviews across the board, that type of stuff. Those type of games and this type of game in general, with I think the push for it and how it's been, I think that's a game that is not going to really go anywhere anytime soon, especially not within a few 6 months or anything. People, yeah, there are going to be a few complaints here and there about it. That may be more within the more competitive compared to the general audience, but the way, like I said, the engagement of the developers with the internet, especially with the interaction with the developers, I think in there is consistent now versus what it was years ago. I think as a result, Street Fighter 6 is going to be set well. And then you have, even with Tekken 8 coming through, even Mortal Kombat 8 coming through, Mortal Kombat 1 coming through, and then you have Guilty Gear, Grand Blue Rising, you have Project L, all that other stuff. I think right now a lot of stuff is set in stone of how the gaming development and how the gaming's going to be. We're in an era now where developers are being more attentive to the community. Not only probably just the competitive, but also the casual. And with that in mind, and how they're going about with their operating with this game, Street Fighter 6 is fine. I think Street Fighter 6 is going to have a better longevity versus Street Fighter as predecessors for sure.
I want to, add to what you said about the meme saying that, they're eating good and stuff like that. I want to say we're kind of, I don't want to say that yet. I think we're at a very delicate, you know, we're on the edge
Mm-hmm.
basically. So the
Mm-hmm.
bar is set so high with this game.
Yeah,
I feel like if the other developers and studios can't replicate or add to what they did for this game, it could kind of just go south.
yeah. I mean, to be fair though, but here's the other thing though. What happened with Street Fighter 5? As a result, the thing is, the other studios should be more or less thankful for Street Fighter Five of what happened to it because it pushed other players to play their games more.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Mm.
I also want to add too. I don't know if you guys remember
Good.
the guy who was the community lead at Capcom at the time, John D.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That guy didn't help. So I feel like the the overall just direction of the shift they took as a company is just way better. They're more transparent than they used to be, and then they got better people in place than they did before.
Mm.
Yeah, which is also something that I think these other studios need to do too. Like if they want, their game to survive and do well, I, yeah, like I said, I feel like we're on the edge. It can go either way right now. It can go really good for everybody, or it can go really bad. Because I feel like with this game, I think the bar is set high with just like the stuff for the competitive players and whatnot. All the additional things they added, and they're gonna add more stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So,
All the collaborations and stuff,
Oh,
and
hmm
like,
and
yeah.
coming down the line.
yeah, and then who's to say maybe season 2 they do collab characters like with other companies like how Tekken and NRS is doing.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
Street Fighter 6 is in a good place. I'm just let's not see copying from other studios. Let's see if they can add to what they already put the foundation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I genuinely believe that they're pretty much at the point they kind of doing their own thing. I think within their I think with the infrastructure that they have to like work on with over the time, especially with Street Fighter Five, and then of course seeing what they how the other franchises worked, like with Monster Hunter, the Resident Evils, and Devil May Cry, all that type of stuff being successful, and then seeing what happened in Street Fighter Five. I think they are focusing more within their own selves and yeah, of course, pay attention to other companies versus like saying, you know what, let's copy this, that, and that. But I think with the other companies as well, they can probably look at Street Fighter Six and see the success and say like initially and be like, you know what, yeah, I. But I think like they're. I'm sure. I think that's right. They have the developer tables where the other developers talk to each other too. I think probably in that process, they kind of may discuss how to kind of do their own thing or what they might be inspired from each other. So I think with Capcom, where they're at now, they're pretty much putting themselves in a position that they're like, working within themselves versus trying to copy out, what other successful fighting games at their time frame, did, and they're trying to like, probably have a lot of stuff already set in stone, and they already just got ready to present it and had the deals to be done. So, like I said, the collaborations, the potential, crossovers. I mean, even though they're big with crossover within themselves on franchises, but outside of that, like I said, with the marketing, with everything they have, I genuinely believe that Capcom is they got themselves together. If not, if not got themselves together, but they're getting themselves together.
Oh yeah, definitely, I agree with that. Oh, that's what I say though. Like I feel like this the bar is set high. So if like let's say Mortal Kombat isn't, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't mean gameplay style. I just mean like quality of life features.
Right, right, right.
Netcode especially. If Mortal Kombat's not as up to snuff with this one, I think people are going to be upset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it was actually it's because it's interesting because the game got announced and then a few months then they got a release date like 2 or 3 months after it got announced. I mean, like how long was the game in development for? That's
Right,
I
right.
don't feel like I felt like it was too soon. Like after they did the announcement to say, all right, well the game comes out in 2 or 3 months after we announced.
MVCI. MVCI.
Yeah, it's I don't know because like the gameplay, like I was looking at the gameplay, I was like, well, this just looks like a prettier, Mortal Kombat 11 with the tag mechanic, So it's I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully for a successful launch for the MK1 community and the fan base for that. There's also another Dragon Ball. There's another Dragon Ball
Oh
game that's
yeah,
Oh, I remember seeing
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. The what was it?
Ultimate Tenkaichi.
Yeah. So that's coming out. Plus, they're doing. There might be some more stuff down the pipeline too as well. So yeah, like I said, there's a lot of games coming forth worth for this game, and then Street Fighter Five is just. I mean, excuse me, Street Fighter Six is just leading that charge because it's one of the first to set off the next era of competitive gaming for tournaments. We've been around for quite some time, and it's good to be able to still see players old and new come in and compete in this game. So I'm excited. I think the game will. I think the game will change 6 months down the line. Like it's not going to be the same as it was within its first few months, for sure. Whether that be an overall gameplay change or just like maybe well, we said that Capcom wasn't doing any major balance patches and stuff until a year later,
Yeah.
but yeah, they may. I feel like something may change again, but we'll see how it goes. I do know that we definitely getting some kind of trailer after the grand finals of Evo for Street Fighter Six for sure. So I'm excited to take a look at that. It'll be, like I said, it'll be late for us, but it'll be early for you guys over there on your coast. But yeah, man, I think we touched about a good stuff. We have passed the 2 hour mark here for the cast. But before we wrap up, John, was there anything you wanted to talk about?
Sorry, I had my mic muted. No, nothing. I think we touched on a lot of topics. I'm just trying to think right now. What do we got? Oh, Evil pools are out already.
Mhm.
We already talked about Evo, so we'll see how that goes.
Mhm.
No, I got nothing. I got nothing. I think we touched on a lot of good topics.
Okay.
Other than that, I think just overall, I think people just need to stop complaining and just play.
Just play. That's it.
Just play or
Yeah.
don't play. I was
Yeah.
complaining a lot for Street Fighter Five in the beginning, and I was like, I'm just not gonna play anymore.
Yeah. Just either play or don't play. I think that's the best way to go about it. Like, I mean, people got you got the memes and stuff about what this character can do and what that character can do. This character sucks. This character is this and that. And I mean, that's a good thing. If you get people to talk about your game and your product, you're doing something right. So I understand you saying don't complain, but I'd say, yeah, just I guess tone down some of the complaints because it's not really warranted for a game just brand new as of yet. Now, if the game was still in its state, 6 months down the line, then maybe we could have a conversation. But at the same time, we just got like me and Retro said earlier, you just gotta let it cook, let the game cook. That's it. Give it some time, let it
Yeah,
flesh out,
I
and
I I,
go.
I do think this is one of the negatives of the modern age of just games in general. Community feedback is so vast, and they got people. They literally have people hired to be on Twitter 24/7. There's customer support for Twitter. So I think this is the downside of things because if people complain about a certain thing so much, there's gonna be change, even if it's like not the change that this thing needs. Like perfect example, every time Street Fighter posts an update from their Twitter, I don't know if you guys have looked at it, but there's this guy that always replies to the tweets that says, "Make it so that we can pick which characters or which control types we want to be matched up against." Like you can go back to any of the updates for Street Fighters on their Twitter, and that guy is always there.
It's either him or the Fei Long guy.
I
Put
haven't
Fei
seen.
Long.
Oh,
Well, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, those reading those comments every time Street Fighter makes a post, it kind of lowers my brain cells a little bit. So I kind of stay away from what goes on in that comment section. But yeah, there you will see kind of the same faces like leeching on every time Street Fighter makes a post about something. You got people there that are vocal about what they feel. So um, again, the game is in a great place. I'm glad it's where it's at, and let's see what the future holds for it. But also, yeah, you did mention Evo. With Evo being next week, I can't wait for that. 7K plus players are entered in it with 7,082 in total. I wonder. I should take a bet on how many DQs there be because because I know people are gonna get bodied by either being late or just no showing to the pool. And I want to say the DQs. I want to say at least 2,000.
Hmm, that's a big number.
That is a big number, but I
That
think that's good because I think because of all the chaos that may be happening, just to like the venue. Because I wonder how spacious it is.
Oh, it's pretty big. It's pretty big. It's like a convention center
It's very
floor.
spacious, John.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
there's a map
They
for it, by the way.
they had like a arcade in there last year, like a full on arcade.
okay,
Yeah, so and that was it was, yeah, it's pretty huge. But 2000 to your point, not only do I think there are going to be 2000 DQs, I think that's not even just going to be DQs. I think that's going to be no shows. 7,000 people, I don't expect every 7,000 person to be there.
right,
I just don't.
Hmm.
right, right. I don't think so. Now, I would love to be proven wrong, and then like only 20 DQs happen. But I definitely do think that the DQs could be in the thousands because they're on a tight time schedule. They got to make sure everything. They got to make this run like a well-oiled machine. If you got that many people in the bracket, you can't hold up a bracket for like 10 minutes waiting on one person. You got to get them up out of there. So if they're not showing up, if you're not showing up to your pools, you're catching L's. So make sure you're hydrated. Keep that water. I think they have water stations
Mm.
now. Yeah,
Or don't stay hydrated because then you might have to go to the bathroom and then there you go. DQ.
The mix, the
and
option select.
that is true. What if you tell your TO, be like, "Hey, I'll be right back. I go to the bathroom,"
No,
and then
that's
you
what
go
you
to the
should do.
bathroom, and then you come back, and then be like, "Oh, dang, I forgot you told me that. My bad, bro. I put you in losers."
That's happened before. That's happened before. Not to me, but I've seen
No
it happen
way.
before. Yeah.
Mm.
No way.
I've seen
Yeah,
people like literally complain. I was right here the whole time. I didn't hear you call me.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, I was right here. Dang, that sucks, man.
Mm.
But I mean, I know. Hopefully, the staff stays hydrated because they got to be, they got to work some long shifts to get through these pools, and
Mhm.
7K, that is a large number. So hopefully, Evo is prepared for the onslaught and just make sure they swap out people so they don't get burned out. Get it? Street
Yep.
Fighter 6.
Ah.
So then, well, hopefully, they don't get the in real life burned out. You don't want to see them walking around looking gray. So
Mm.
yeah, we'll see what happens, man. It should be an exciting time next week. I can't wait. John, I know you'll be out there. You said you're going to be doing commentary. Do you know the name of the channel that it's going to be on?
Not yet. No. No,
Okay.
I don't have that information yet. Maybe this
Mm.
week.
Okay.
Yeah, but it'll definitely be 4. I know they're definitely streaming it because it's one of the showcased ones that are from Evo themselves.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. So yeah. So Blockbuster John is going to be commentating
Congrats.
at Evo for
Oh,
Street
thank you.
Fighter 4. Yo, what I'm saying, good stuff. I'll
Thank you.
definitely be tuning in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you get that information, let me know, please.
Okay,
All
yeah.
right.
I'll tweet it. I'll tweet it out. I mean,
All
yeah,
right.
I'll have to.
Okay. All right. Cool. Cool. Cool.
Yep.
So we'll be checking that out for sure. But I think that's gonna wrap it up for the podcast
Yeah.
for episode 2 for so far. What I'm saying, do appreciate you guys for coming in. Hanging out with us. Appreciate you, John, for
Yeah, no
stopping
problem.
by for about a good 2 hours and change to talk
Yeah,
with us.
it's
You
fun.
know what
It was
I'm saying?
fun. I like the
It was,
format. It was fun.
yeah, for sure, man. I mean, we definitely want to, see if we can have you back in the future episode.
Hmm.
For sure, maybe later down the line to see if anything changes, and if it does, I'd love to, we'd love to hear your take on it. And before
Honestly,
we
if I could
go,
throw out a suggestion, sorry, before we go, I would actually like the next podcast to be the whole data crew to talk about their Evo experience, the ones that are going.
oh, we've had data people on before, but if you want more data people on, we can make that happen.
Only because I know they're going, so I just I want to hear what they did, how they place.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be a cool
All
one.
right. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I got we got big baits. We got
Cracking.
we got yeah. We'll see what happens. But yeah, definitely. Do appreciate you, John, for stopping by and talking with us real quick. Retro, do we have any announcements available?
Um, Actually, only one. I know you brought up. I think it's happening right now. John was about the. Let's see. I can pull up on this
Oh
thing.
yeah, put a link in Discord, I think, right?
Yes. So let me give me a second. I can go see that. Be black for a second. I'll pull this up. Uh, so currently there's a tournament going on. I believe it's called Good on My End. You can explain more details about it, John.
Oh yeah, so Swix is a player from the Virginia area, and he's running his first Street Fighter 5 tournament. He would run some Street Fighter 4 tournaments. So yeah, right now, that's going on right now. It had some good players in there. I know Velociraptor was in there. Twinkie Emperor, that Jamie player that Shadow Ace and I were talking to you about earlier. Retro, he's actually going to be up right now when I just pulled up the stream when you're asking me about it. And
Okay.
yeah, yeah, I don't. I think he's put up $300 or something. I don't know how much money he put up. He put up quite a bit
300.
of
Yeah,
money for this
$300
one.
pot.
$300, yeah. So yeah, that's going on right now. I
Okay.
was going to enter, but then Shadow Ace asked me about this, and I thought the tournament was tomorrow. But it was today.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but it's fine. We do tournaments every week. It's just too much already.
All right.
Shadow Ace and I always talk about we need to go back to bi-weekly.
Yeah, bi-weekly, yeah, because it's like so many things happen during the week, and then you're like, dang, I need to train up for this tournament this weekend, and then you just forget about it.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to keep up with everybody else because everybody else is doing their tournaments weekly too.
There's so many
Yeah, tournaments. There's a lot of
tournaments,
tournaments going on, but
especially
which is expected to happen. That
yeah.
was gonna happen. But yeah, outside of that, what else we got? Retro.
All right. Well, I'm excited to announce this, especially because it's been a long time coming. But been it's crazy though that we've been here for this long. But 5 years, we're gonna and August 12th, we're gonna have our fifth anniversary tournament of Reboot Retrocade Gaming. We're gonna
Hey,
celebrate. We thank you all. Thank you guys so much within the community. Thank you guys who've been supporting us, been here with us for the 5 years since we started Reboot Retrocade Gaming, and we're gonna have definitely a lot planned for it. It's gonna be special raffles, especially provided by many of our sponsors. Thanks for Junk Food Custom Arcades for being our sponsor for it. There's gonna be a lot more other features. Of course, it definitely will be pop bonuses. We already got it confirmed for bonuses. Don't know how much and how many, but yep. Of course, Maturino shouts to them to be involved, and we're gonna have a fun, great time celebrating the 5 years of Reboot. Retrocade Gaming. It's crazy to think about it that it's been 5 years. That we didn't expect to make it this far. Of course, the games you see there are featured. But I want to say this is where I would definitely say thank you, Shadow Ace and the Data Crew, FC Crew, for guiding us, giving us welcoming Matt for us to step on into the scene since we have started 5 years ago. Thank you, BlockBusterJon. Of course, the one time we played against Untamed Gaming and Street Fighter 4. But we'll work on if we get a rematch on that. But
Oh, we did? I don't. Did we really?
yeah, we
I
got
don't remember that. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Showers commentated that.
oh no, John wasn't there.
He
It
was
was
he wasn't there, but yeah. Yeah, DJ Vest and his their crew. What a time. What a time. But but the thing is, I'm glad that, I'm thank you for allowing us to be part of the FTC. Thank you guys for that. Thank you guys for letting us be able to become our own. Today was an example at our tournament. We had people that from Middle Georgia that never saw before in my life came out to the event. Our Thursday casuals going crazy. It's now at least 10 people showing up to casual events. Our tournaments has exponentially grown to a crazy amount. numbers they never expected to see after 5 years. So we're going to celebrate really big with this one. So definitely, guys, if you guys can come out to Reboot in Macon, Georgia, Reboot Retrocade and Bar, that's the location. You're more than welcome to. If not, definitely we'll have it streamed and featured with details. So yeah, that's all I got from my end. So look forward to that.
All right. Congratulations again to Reboot Retro Gaming on the 5 year anniversary event that's coming up within the coming weeks here in Georgia here. So I'm sure you guys are gonna have a great time out there and just a good fellowship of just gaming and friends. But yeah, looks like that's gonna wrap it up for today's podcast. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely do appreciate all of you guys for tuning in, all the new listeners and everybody out that's been tweeting and supporting. We do appreciate that. Of course, always stay tuned. We have details on the next guest. I already have an idea of who I will be having on in mind for sure. So stay tuned for details on episode 3. But season 3, what I'm saying, we didn't expect to make it this far, but we here and we're going to keep the show going. So we do appreciate you guys giving us that support for this. And if you're listening to the rebroadcast, again, this will be archived and presented on the Reboot Retrocade Gaming's YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and listen to it, and if you're listening to the rebroadcast right now, thank you so much for that support. But before we get out of here, John, where can the good people find you?
Say it every week. We're saying it tomorrow too. You guys could find me at Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at BlockBusterJon. I've been lagging on the YouTube content. I really got to get on it. But yeah, there'll be some Street Fighter 6 stuff coming soon. But yeah, just find me at those platforms at BlockBusterJon. And if you can't find Twitter, it's x.com. So stupid.
Yo, you can find me on x.com. You're like, bro, what? uh, it's not safe for work, my guy. All right, but retro, where can the good people find you?
Pretty much everywhere. So Retro08 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Of course, also on here, of course, Twitch on Sir_Retro08. We'll also stream on Tuesdays. Retro Tuesdays. Excuse me. And of course, yeah, we also mainly follow the Reboot Retrocade Gaming, where we have the events, the podcast episodes, and other content that's being featured on the YouTube, and also social media as far as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord. Yeah, definitely follow us anywhere. We'll be around. And thank you guys once again for supporting us. And shout out Ace, the host with the most. Where should we find you?
You can find me on X at Mind of Shadow Ace. It still feels odd saying that, and it feels odd seeing that black X on top of my
Yeah.
tab.
Oh, God.
Bro, it's just, nah, bro.
You know
It's
when
at
you go to
twitter.com, damn it. Twitter.com. God,
when you go to tweet, it says tweet still?
it does still say tweet. Like, even when I look at the tab, it doesn't say, like, it shows Twitter, but it doesn't, like, when you click on the home, it just says X. So it's, I don't know, it's weird, but it's weird saying it. But yeah, you can find me there at Mind of Shadow Ace on there, and catch me tomorrow for Untamed Gaming Street Fighter 6 tournament that I will be commentating with my co-host BlockBusterJon. We'll be holding it down at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the start time on that. So if you guys want to pop over there just to view and spectate, you'd be more than welcome to. If you want to enter, you can do so as well. But we are indeed out the door. So is Swix's tournament still going on, John?
Yeah, it's going on right now still.
Okay, all right. Retro, if you don't mind, can you send us over to there?
Oh, absolutely, will be my pleasure. So,
It should
fam,
be
go ahead.
Swix_FGC.
All righty. So yeah, yeah, guys want to see some Street Fighter action going on right now? Yeah, definitely tune into this tournament right now and check it out. So, but other than that, I wish you guys a great evening and enjoy the rest of your time. Thank you, Shadow Ace, and thank you, BlockBusterJon, for this awesome episode. Till next
Thank you
time.
guys.